in this house.
Pressing the button and we're doing it.
Are we recording?
We are recording, Mrs. Ryan.
Holy.
You got my name right.
Yeah. What's up? What's up, Tony?
Tony.
Tony.
Tony's in the house.
What's up, Tony? Oh.
Someone on social media was like, "Thanks so much, Tony," and I was like, "Wink, wink."
Yeah, it was my bad. I felt awful.
No, dude,
We had
everybody
never
does
met.
it.
I'd never talked to you before, and what was crazy was like we just did our big hugs outside, and you brought coffee, and you came in, and we just got straight into talking.
Dude, I'm so used to that.
Hi, I'm
Since
Jay.
I was a kid.
Hi, I'm Tony, but I'm not.
Since I was a kid, it's been. I'm so used to it now. It doesn't even faze me anymore.
I thought it was just because it was in print for us that like I just the R ran into the end or whatever.
Yeah,
I thought
then
it was one
people
thing.
just switch it in their head. It's always Troy or Tony.
Troy?
Like, they're like, there can't be a guy named Tory.
Oh, that's not
Who
fair.
does that?
We
Like,
have
no.
we have a friend named Tori, a MythBuster.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think he spells his name the same way as I
The
do.
He
same
does,
way.
exact
Yeah,
same
see,
way.
that's cool. So at least I have him.
All right, well, we're here with Tory Alonzo, everybody. Our first guest is back. You're our first returning guest.
Holy cow.
You know you're
cool
doing
is
something
that?
right if you're already getting returning guests back.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess.
I think so.
You
I
came all the
got a
way
hug.
across country twice.
I got a hug, so I'm.
Oh,
I'm
it's
good.
worth it for you guys. Seriously.
Dude, you're awesome.
I like what you do.
You brought a bunch of people with you today, and we should acknowledge that before anything because they're all
I
on their
came
phones.
with
Maybe they're
friends.
posting. I don't know. I hope they're posting. That's even cooler. But who we've got? You want to tell who we've got here?
Yeah, so Dwight Knowlton from Carpe Gear.
I usually wear your shirts, but you didn't bring me any.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
That's all right. I
Wow.
Like you. I like you a lot.
She's feisty.
And then
I like red.
Ray Shaffer and
Zuckerman.
DJ from Porsche Classic in Atlanta.
Holy
They
crap.
came. I know, right?
Hi, Ray.
It's like worldwide now, you guys.
I'm really glad that you came here and took a behind-the-scenes
There
photo.
we go. Now, they don't know it, but I've got a camera on them. If you
Uh-oh.
take a look up there.
Oh, it's dark in there.
We tucked in an iPad by the booze over there. Since we don't drink, we hit it. There you go. There's the peanut gallery cam.
Oh.
You can't tell anybody what you're doing ahead of time. You know what I mean? You got to have a couple tricks up your sleeve.
You're welcome.
Element of surprise.
Yeah, no kitty cam today though. So we've got a corporate cam over there.
That's all right. You can do that.
What's going on Corpe Gear?
That's funny.
Hilarious.
So thanks for filling the house. Thanks for
Thanks,
you
guys.
know
Thanks for
coming
having
here.
us. Yeah. Excited to be here as always.
I have not really anything in particular I want to talk to you about other than you look fantastic.
Well,
You're
thanks.
doing great. You
I
got
am.
your Porsche running.
I did, yeah.
Holy crap.
Yep.
Your
If it just
356.
stopped freaking snowing back home, I could actually enjoy it. You know, I've had like a 3-hour window the other day that it was like somewhat nice, above freezing temperature and not snowing. So
Did you
I
guys
could
get
drive
snow again?
It
In
was snowing.
Texas?
It was snowing when I left Pittsburgh the other day. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Over it. Like we're gonna go right from winter to summer.
Yeah, just skip.
Yeah.
Skip. Just, no leaves this year?
No leaves. Nothing. Just fine because that'll be less to clean up in the fall. Yeah, so I did drive it the other day. I had to get my little Porsche fix in before I came here and saw everybody's car that I can't drive. So
Well, when you were here last, it wasn't even running yet. You had just
Correct.
gotten it, and you were just, I don't even know if you were even wrenching on it yet. I think it was winter months, and like the concrete floor was cold and stuff.
yeah.
Is that about right?
Yeah, I had done some stuff to it, but I
Okay.
mean, it was still like, I think I was finishing up brakes or something last time I was here. But yeah, it's all good.
What year is your car?
It's a 1960.
Gosh, that's so cool.
It's neat.
It's
It's
smart of
really
you to make friends with the Porsche Classic people.
I know, right?
Man,
That's my only.
that was like a good
That's
move.
the only reason I'm friends with them, really. I mean, you know, I don't have to buy clothes because I know Dwight now, and then you know, I get discounts on parts
know
for
you,
my car.
Dwight.
Now that I've got a nice wardrobe going on and my car's done, like this is probably gonna be it, guys. I'm sorry, but it was nice knowing you.
I'll take it. Now it just becomes like the faded phase. You know, everybody's just going to kind of.
Yeah,
Well, now you have a place to
patina
talk.
phase.
That rounds out
I
what
know,
you
right?
need in your life.
it
so,
is. I might keep you guys around though.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope
You
you stay.
don't, you're dead.
This guy too. I told you. You know, both of you are welcome to stay here anytime. I mean,
Yeah.
probably not together. I'm guessing, but if
Right.
you ever are out here, I mean, we have the one guest room. You guys are family. You're welcome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Only if it's a single bed.
Yeah. Oh, then you would share. Okay, good, great. We can do it both.
It's a queen size bed that you can sleep in by yourself.
I only share twins with other guys. I'm sorry.
Well, that answers that.
Blondes, brunettes. Heyo.
They have to like Porsches though.
Well, that should be easy
Well,
this
you'll
weekend.
find a bunch here.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. So you were thinking about coming out for the lit meet
That's right.
And that one just, it wasn't in the cards, but you were like, well, I'm not missing Luft,
Yeah.
period.
Yep.
And you've had a bunch of stuff going on in your life lately. You've been really busy.
I have been really busy. Yep.
So
newly single within the last couple months.
Oh my goodness.
I know, right?
Eligible bachelor.
Something like that.
Handsome man,
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah, something like that. No,
I'm
it's all
just
good.
saying, we're putting it out there. Hashtag available.
Hashtag available. Yeah. No, it's all good. I'm in a much better place in my life now, and bought my own house, and
Wow.
yeah.
Congrats.
Now nobody can kick me out. I like that. That's kind of cool.
It's a big deal.
Well, I'm happy about all that. Just for a second, since we saw you last, you gave us a link to watch your bug documentary.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I love it.
Brother, we loved it.
Well,
I mean,
good.
we
I'm glad you guys
we
enjoyed it.
loved it. There was forget the fact that it's good as an informational documentary.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much heart in it. There's so much feeling. There's so much of what we're all into that you can't put into words, but you captured it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate. I wish I
You
could take
guys,
all the
you
credit
guys,
for
you
it.
all
Yeah,
did,
obviously
yeah.
Damon Risto's the main director or whatever. I had a producing role in it, but it was a blast. I had so much fun doing that.
Dude, you cried on camera?
I did cry on camera.
Bravo.
So what people don't know is we filmed that scene like a week after my mom had passed away.
Yep.
And my mom was always like the biggest cheerleader for this film. She was so excited because she knew how much I had been into Volkswagen since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And she was always the biggest supporter of this project. And there were times it didn't look like it was going to work out. She was like, "Have faith, like you'll get there. It's going to work out."
Wow.
And then she passed away unexpectedly. And Damon was like, "Hey, do you want to reschedule all these scenes that we're going to do?" I was like, "No, absolutely not." I was like, she would have wanted this, And so that it was really hard, and I didn't think I was gonna break down on camera, and I was kind of embarrassed after the fact. And Damon, pulled it all out, and it ended up working. And everyone I talked to has said that scene sticks with them for
There's
a
no
long
doubt.
time, after the fact, because everyone's got moments like that. There's things in your life that are hard, but you still remember them because of certain things. And for me, it was that smell of a VW,
Wow.
that just, it cemented my, my memories of my childhood.
Yeah, you grew up in one too, right?
I did.
Did we talk about that?
I did. Yeah.
me too. Me too.
When I was a kid, my dad was in the car business, but he hated cars like that. Everyone always thinks that because my dad was in the car business, that's why I'm like a car guy. And my dad couldn't have been anything further from a car guy. He just sold them. He was in the financial end of things with cars. And
But at a dealership.
at a dealership,
Okay.
yeah. Never a Volkswagen one. It was always like Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep Eagle, whatever. And we moved around a lot as a kid. And so
For jobs?
yeah,
Okay.
and my dad wasn't. Yeah, he was an alcoholic, and so he would lose his job sometimes, and then we would have to he'd have to find another job, and so he'd burn his bridges in one city, and then we'd have to move to
Pick up
another,
and go,
and start
sure.
all over again. And when I was young, I was probably 10 or 11 years old, I think, and my dad bought this Volkswagen probably out of necessity because there were times when we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and so it was just a cheap economical car to get around in, but it was something that I've always been passionate about and I've always loved. So my mom
utilitarian that turned into beauty for some people,
absolutely
right?
yeah for sure. And so this was a car that my mom would take me to school in and pick me up in, and I'd moved around so much when I was a kid that this car was like my constant.
Wow.
It got to the point where I was just tired of reinventing myself and putting myself out there as a kid.
Sure.
That why make friends if I know that my dad could lose his job again, and then I've got to go move somewhere else in a year.
Yeah.
And so
Why get invested?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of what it ended up being, that this car was always my constant and kind of my bud, and I always knew I had this car. And so when I went off to college, this car was parked in the garage, and it was always understood that this was my car. That,
Okay.
And I never wanted to drive it for fear of getting in an accident with it. This was just something that it was like a family member that just happened to stay in the garage. And when I went off to college, my dad lost his job again, of course, and they had a hard time paying the mortgage, and my dad sold the car. Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Without telling me.
Without-
I came
I was
back.
gonna
Yeah, I
ask
came
you.
back to do laundry, one weekend, as you do when you're a college kid, and opened the garage, and it was gone.
Wow.
And my mom was just, heartbroken. She's like, I did everything I could to stop him from selling it, and I'm sorry, but I couldn't stop it. Like, the title was still in his
really
name, obviously.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, the
it
connection
crushed
was
me.
made, though. It was already in your blood.
It crushed me. Yeah. I mean, it already, cemented me as a car guy or whatever from when I was very young. But so for the last 20 years, I never stopped looking for this car. And my little sister was
the actual one.
that car.
Okay.
I mean, I've owned a lot of cool stuff,
Yep.
but that's the one I've always wanted back. That's the only one that I ever wanted back. I've always said I'd trade every car I have just to have that one back. Wow. And I happened to be riding out with my little sister, who was a police officer in Dallas, probably 2 years ago. And we're having this weird moment where we're sitting in the squad car, and it was like 2 a.m. and nothing's happening. And, you're trying to do everything you can to like keep each other awake,
Sure.
because it's just kind of, it's a very boring job sometimes, and it's very exciting. It's like feast or famine. Like
Sure.
you're either like running from someone that has a gun, or you're sitting
Trying
in
to
the
stay
parking
awake.
lot
Yeah.
of, Walmart trying to stay awake.
Right, reading license plates and stuff.
And I remember I had this moment where I looked over, and there's this laptop sitting there, and I just had this stroke of genius. I was like, can you put a VIN number in that, and will it come up? Like, who owns the car? And she was like,
That's how you found it?
yeah. So
Holy
she said,
crap.
yeah. She's like, if you know the VIN number. And I was like, 116-355-835.
Know
Like,
it by
I couldn't,
heart.
I did, and I couldn't put it in fast enough. And boom, up pops this name and address in Midland, Texas. And the car never left West Texas. I went to
Wow.
school in Lubbock, Texas Tech University, and the car was an hour and a half south of me. So then I spent the next year and a half tracking down who this guy was. We had mutual friends that were still in high school from Facebook that kind of put us together, and it took me another 6 months of begging this guy monthly, please, would you sell the car? Do you still have it?
Yeah.
And I broke him. I just broke him, and he had no choice but to sell it to me. And
Whoa.
I remember one day we had this conversation, and I said, look, I have to have the car back. I said, the car's...
Here's the thing. I'm never going to leave you alone.
Yeah, basically, I'm going to get it either way. Let's just make it easy on both of us. I said, what do you have in the car? And he's like, well, I've been storing it all these years, and I've taken really good care of it, He said, I think I paid $5,000 for it. I said, I'll double your money right now. I said, I'll write you a check for $10,000 right now. I just sold my house in Orlando. I had some money in the bank.
And you needed this.
I needed it. I mean, to me, it was priceless. I would have paid $20. He doesn't need to know that, but
Right.
I would have. And
He'll know it soon.
he knows now. But he said yes. And so I flew back to Midland and took a 3-day weekend of getting the car ready. I thought it was going to be a matter of draining the gas and putting new gas in it, but this car had been it was
a little longer than you.
It was not in quite the condition that it was described as, but I didn't care. And
Still your car. It's almost better. Now it's your car from the ground up again.
yeah, exactly. And I'll send you pictures of what it looked like whenever I got it, so you can edit them in or whatever.
you have
if
it
want.
now?
But I have it now. And what's sad is I
Wow.
wish that would have been such a cool moment to put in the film, but we'd already wrapped on the documentary when that happened. But I mentioned that car in the documentary.
There are other things to shoot, my friend.
Yeah, it's not
There
the
are
only
other
one.
places to put this.
Yeah, there are.
Seriously,
Yeah.
this may be its own thing. This to me sounds like a standalone story
Agreed.
on a car show that we're thinking about doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually turned down. There's a new show coming out on Discovery called Sticker Shock.
Okay.
That a friend of mine is going to be a host and appraiser on, and they had originally pitched it to me.
Who's
It's
your
going to be Randy Carlson.
Okay.
Bug and Box on
Yeah, yeah.
Instagram. Super nice guy.
I follow him on Instagram. I
Yes.
think thanks to you.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. I've known him for years, and he was also in the Bug movie. He's he owns oldbug.com. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, he's all throughout that as well.
So he's like a historian too.
He is. Oh yeah, totally cool guy. Super nice. I've known him for years. And so, anyways, I don't even know where I was going with that.
I'm sorry.
Something about no. How dare you?
You still have the car.
Derailed my thought. Oh no,
Didn't
no,
make
the
it
show.
into the documentary.
So the show.
Oh, yeah,
So there's this show called Sticker Shock, and they had originally. Randy was like, we were talking to each other about the show when it was still in the development process, and I was like, this sounds like a cool show. They're pitching it to me as we care about stories and this and that. And so I got so far as going through the audition process. They were going to pay to ship the car out to LA. I was going to time it with the Lit Show weekend where I
Sure.
could film, and they were going to do all this. Then I start getting information from Randy that it's going to be like Antique Roadshow, but for cars. And I was like, well, what the value
That's
has,
not the
I don't
story.
care. That's not the story. That's what is this car worth? And I said, no, this is not
If
the right
anything, I
thing.
just overpaid for this car.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
People are
Like,
going to make
I'm
fun of me
gonna
for the
look like
rest
an
of my
idiot.
life. Like, yeah, you thought you knew
tell
this much about
everyone all
Volkswagens.
about it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And so I kind of, backtracked with the casting people, and they were really upset. They're like, well, we had this all figured out. Like, you're on the marker board. You don't understand. I'm like, well, the
You
cool
guys
thing about that
misrepresented
is, like,
yourself.
there's, like, a dry erase thing that you just, and you mark me
Oh,
off.
that
Like,
marker board.
yeah. And so, yeah. And so I ended up not doing this show just because I don't know. I just felt like it kind of cheapened it to me. Like I'm all about telling the story
called
about
it
the
personal
car,
integrity,
but I
and
think
you
so.
have
A
some?
shred of decency,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Well-
it wasn't worth the 5 minutes or 15 minutes of fame to like whore out my car for this.
That's what it
show.
is. If
Here's
anything,
the
they were
other
tagging
side
on
of
to you.
it.
Exactly.
You now have plentiful opportunities to do it the way you want to, versus defending something for the rest of your life that you
Yeah.
weren't into.
Gosh, so smart.
Right?
Ah.
There is the angle and the potential and
Yep.
all of that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my story about
You
my
have
car.
your story still.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got it back.
FYI.
I've got pictures of me as a kid with the car, and then I've got pictures of me like last month with the car, and it still
That's
trips me out.
awesome.
I
It
can't believe it.
trips
I'm
me out.
so excited for you.
It's weird to look in like the rearview mirror and like see an empty back seat where I was riding to junior high school in.
Did you ever ride in the what we called the backpack?
No, I was too big for that. Well, I probably could have fit. I don't know. I was a pretty skinny kid, but I used to ride in the back, like just as a joke, but never.
Is the
to
Super
school.
Beetle back bigger than?
No.
Okay, well, whatever.
Pretty much
we
from the like A pillar up is like what's different on a Super Beetle. But this is like an old '66 Bug.
No, I know. I'm just trying. Whatever that was the car that I was like not born in, but like whatever. That was the first car that my
Conceived
mom
in,
had.
maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows? She says. I used to ride in the backpack where it was like warm. I'm sitting on the engine, I guess, and the trans
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the other cool thing about
So
this '66.
irresponsible.
Oh yeah, but we're all still here, are we not? Like
Yeah.
somehow we survived. But
And
the other
you
cool
guys
thing.
know more about cars than princesses like me that were strapped into a seat on top of a seat in the back.
It's true.
Just an FYI.
Strapped on top of a seat.
Strapped in a seat on top of a seat, like
In a
car
seat on a
seats.
seat.
In a seat on a seat.
Oh, okay.
Someone got it. Thanks, dude.
I'm sorry.
That's how I roll.
I think it's awesome. I like that you're wearing your Saturdays and Sundays shirt and that you're just so darn nice and sweet.
It's just my favorite. When I like you, I really like this shirt.
When I like you.
When I don't like you is usually because I've done something dumb. So I don't like myself, and I don't like how you treat me because I've done something stupid that I'm mad at myself.
You idiot.
So, whatever.
Sorry, it's a husband and wife podcast too. You know,
that's
you're
why
interesting and
yeah.
all.
He
No,
talked to
it's
me
all
about this, and it made me feel so much better about it.
Oh,
Apparently, that's an enjoyable thing for some people.
well, it's
Our
real,
big-
right?
That's
the
what I
whole
like
thing
about
is
it.
that we're pushing authenticity and just being genuine, and like these are the moments.
Couples
that
don't always get along. Like
stuff
I would
happens.
worry if you guys were like lovey-dovey and making out over the table. Like that's weird. That's not. That
Also-
doesn't happen that way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't want to watch it.
Well, I mean, I'd watch.
Well,
guys,
you
I'm
watch it.
just
For,
saying.
gee whiz, it's different demographic, different
Yeah,
programming
totally.
for sure.
Not the first time that's been said.
Absolutely.
But we know people like that. It's just that doesn't feel authentic either. So
I agree.
We find that line of love and hate.
Yep.
And straddle it.
I totally agree.
You want to bring in anybody else over here?
Yeah, let's.
Who do you want to bring in next?
Uh-uh.
You
We'll
gonna
do the
make
Johnny
me
Carson
choose
thing.
like
We'll-
my
we'll-
favorite kid over
That's
here.
right.
Come
Well,
on,
no,
man.
I'm saying, do we go right into? Well, you tell me.
I don't
'Cause
know.
I've got some gifts here I want to get out, but I want to do it while the guests are in front of us.
Well,
Because
if
you didn't
you-
bring anything except for the coffee, and we're already having
brought
that.
this, baby. That's what I brought.
Yeah.
You.
Well, I don't know if you want to get the thanks out of the way. You've got the shirt and the keychain right there. Do you want to
do.
bring Dwight in?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool.
Why not? All right,
do it.
everybody, hang on 1 second. We're going to switch around and just sit tight. We'll be right with you. Nice.
Do you want to be set up? Are you there yet?
What do you mean?
Are you looking for a relationship, or are you
Excuse me.
fucking around?
Oh.
You're on mic, and we're just making some changes here.
Sorry. I'll talk to you later.
You're gonna move, Tori. You stay here. Maybe I was unclear about it. Everybody's gonna move around.
That might be the funniest thing I've heard all day.
Authenticity. Where's the ratio?
professor yesterday. He goes, just so you know, I think it might be Shaffer. And I was like, he goes, double F. And I was like, I know you're an educator and all, but you know, I'm a Letterman guy. Paul Shaffer. He's like, that's an E. I was like, no, it's AFF.
Am I coming back in?
Yeah, man.
Okay, I'm gonna skeet it on over here.
And please, wherever that's comfortable to you.
Thank you.
Oh, you get your own mic again. Yeah, I was
There you
willing to
go.
share.
Thanks. I'll still maybe share with you.
You might be banned after this one.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
derogatory
know.
though.
We may have just witnessed
I'm
the
fired
demise.
all the time.
We may have just witnessed the demise of the
I get
other
fired.
half of the Porsche Life podcast.
That might be true. That would be devastating to me.
Oh, that was glorious.
I used to live in fear I'd get fired or unloved, and then they both happened. So here we go.
Oh my god.
Welcome.
Thank you for that. That was really, really funny. Jay's dying inside right now.
I'm great. I'm
Piece
loving
of
it.
Jay's died.
Pretty sure it's all being recorded, so I'm loving it.
Oh, oh. I'm gonna try and rein it in here. Like,
So you can be boring.
oh,
and not work with yourself? Is there a left or a right that I should be aware of? Thank you.
I feel like this is the extended club mix of the intro song. I haven't
Exactly
got to
what
hear
it
this.
is.
It's
No,
fantastic.
My favorite.
Really good.
This doesn't sound like it's on.
Of course, I chose it because it's got a lot of organ, so it was a little Paul Shaffer.
Yeah, I'm digging it.
All right.
These don't sound on.
I think he did that on purpose.
Probably. Listen, I'm aware that I'm in the doghouse currently, so
Let's not rub it in.
it's not killing you? Is that why you're doubled over in laughter? I wanted to make you feel at home, dude.
Play that same song again.
Again. I really do like it. Not high enough, but I would just
I
sit here.
haven't laughed that hard in a really long time.
Yeah,
You
no.
have to understand this.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Mine are off now.
Serious?
Yeah. Oh, wait. There must be a little thing, like I moved and they're back on.
Oh.
Is there a...
Could be.
I can disrupt shows too.
Good.
Oh, good. It's
Yeah.
not just a girl
Oh
thing.
no, I'm going to raise the game.
Oh, I'm so excited. Can't wait to.
He's gonna get you out of that doghouse.
Yes.
That works.
My boys are great. It might click. Usually it's on. That happens a lot when I sit in that chair.
Okay.
I probably broke them. Heads up. I break everything.
All right.
I broke 2 toes last week.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
said
he
that.
legit, dude.
Yeah.
Did you kick something?
Yes.
A dog.
Not out of anger.
Oh.
All right. All set.
Thought we something in common. All set.
Nice. I love the informality of this group. Thanks for playing along.
This is what family is
There
about.
we go.
Porsche family.
All right. I think we're back. There we go. Everybody good?
Good.
Everybody has audio?
Audio.
I got it.
Dwight Knowlton from Carpe Gear. Holy crap, man.
Hello.
It's so great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for wearing your gear. You brought presents. Can we talk about that?
Not for me.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't have said anything unless he walked in specifically and was like, I don't have anything for you.
Oh, okay. So it's already a joke.
I don't have my wife is on me about not having enough lady stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And intentional lady stuff. And so we're working on it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's coming.
So translation: bespoke gear coming for Nicole Ryan.
Yay.
Well, we should look at this stuff because I think it's pretty cool because I did get gifts. I wanted to show this one specifically because you're here and you talked about it when you were our first guest on this show.
I did, and
You
now
had
it's a thing.
You had a role in helping design
No,
this.
Real.
no, it's a bus.
Heyo. See what he
Ooh,
did
good
there?
VW humor, man.
But very,
That's
very
really
cool.
pretty.
Yeah. And more compy motors. And let's see. Oh, is this the one you're wearing?
right here.
Very cool. There you go, the Porsche nut. Hey, I'm a Porsche nut. Did you know that?
Oh my goodness.
What?
Wait, where do you live? I forgot.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Really? It's
Yeah.
hot there.
It's gorgeous for much of the year, and then not gorgeous for a few months.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There's a
These are all available
keychain
on
something.
carpetgear.com. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I love that we have.
You are
Yes,
awesome,
we
and I
invite
do
people
love
here
the
just to get
shirts
together.
that I do have of yours. So
Good.
thanks
Good.
for that.
We'll increase that soon.
I'm not. Listen, I'm gonna stop saying it because I really do like them. So it's all for. It's all funny, but I really do like what you do.
Cool.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
That is something I can do.
Gee whiz.
Sucking on helium
Stop
over there,
squeezing
dude?
me under the table, man. Gee whiz. Glad to have you here.
Nicole's like, not it.
I know, seriously.
Was I the last to
It was me.
I don't know exactly what
Everyone's putting their hands
It's not that kind of show.
Well, back to you.
Yes. Yes. So, well, I can tell you that I have my son to thank for this.
Really?
Yeah, because the apparel came out of the books, and my son inspired the books. I had no intention originally of being an author. It wasn't even, it never occurred to me.
Whoa.
But I had been a designer, design director, creative director over the course of about a 20-year career. And when my son was born, I went looking to share the car hobby with him, and I wanted a father-son story. I wanted a real car guy story of some kind. And I searched and searched, and I just knew that it had to be out there. And it wasn't, and I couldn't even believe that there wasn't that sort of story for real car guys. You know, every car book that I found for kids was cars batting their eyelashes and giggling and frolicking in mud puddles and stuff like that. And the art, you know, the art looked like maybe it was drawn by children, and you know, it just wasn't. And I wanted some integrity so that like the guy whose knee they're on is enjoying it too.
Right.
Or gal who's neither on is enjoying it too. And so I started doing some research and everything, and the concept of it was such that the response in the automotive industry there was a review of the concept of the book.
Which book was first?
The Little Red Racing Car.
Okay, so that's the one we're talking
that's
about.
the father-son story. Yeah,
and
that
it's
started it all.
Ferrari, right?
Maserati.
Oh, Maserati,
Yeah,
that's
it's a
right, okay.
Maserati 300S.
Okay.
And that brought Sir Sterling into it because it's
of
the
course.
300S, and it was one of the favorite cars he ever raced.
One of his favorite?
Yes,
Oh,
one of his favorite.
cool.
Yeah. So really high on the list for him, just as far as how it handled and everything. But the concept of this father-son story that had authenticity and real bits of history and all that stuff, and it turns out to be a barn find story, which it's a whole other connector, you know, to people. It resounded so much.
Everybody loves a good barn find.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep. Autodromo now is carrying barn find dust that you can sprinkle on your car to increase the value. Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah. No, they're not really. It was April
Oh,
Fools.
thank God.
But
There is a
Really?
product like that called Fuller's Earth
21
that we
days
use
late
in
to
the
that.
entertainment industry to make things look old
yeah,
and dusty,
yeah.
and I'm surprised no one's done that yet.
Yeah.
You know, just made one look all,
Yeah.
Ray Shaffer is divining ideas over there as we speak.
So the concept hit so strong that before there was even a book, like I was working on the first 5 illustrations and hashing out what it was going to be. And the concept of the book got reviewed in the automotive section of like the Daily Telegraph in the UK. Like the author of it for the automotive section like sent me a copy of his review of the idea of a book.
Whoa.
And so it just resounded. It started getting featured in Motor Trend and Road and Track online.
That's kind of weird
Yeah.
how it became a thing before it was literally even a thing. Like
Yeah.
you hadn't even fully.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And so that started the whole snowball.
cool.
I don't have to tell the whole story of the creation of that first book and the pain points and everything else. But that book launched then by getting to know Sir Sterling and getting to sign with Sir Sterling at Lime Rock and getting to go to the dinners.
Ugh.
Yeah, all that.
Do you love Lime
amazing
Rock?
stuff.
We'll talk about that too.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
Yeah. Oh, it's glorious driving across that bridge, thump, 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 and then the valley opens up in front of you. It's
Yeah, you're in the woods till you're at a racetrack.
Yeah. And cars were already warming up the first time I drove in, and so you're hearing the sound before you see the sights, and yeah, it's glorious.
For days I could talk about that, so forgive me.
Yeah, and you grew up around there, right?
Yeah, that was I mean, you would call it my home track for sure.
So that gave this relationship with Sir Sterling, where once he had the Little Red racing car in hand and loved it because of the authenticity, because of the way I mentioned him, I illustrated vintage photographs of him in the car and then tucked them into This Boy Finds a Packet of Information in the door, which would never have been left in the car, but, you know, for the sake of, And so...
Because every kid, too, you Indiana Jones and Finding a Treasure and all that stuff, looking for stuff in the woods, Stand By Me, all that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And so that built a relationship with him then, where then he would send the book out to people and say, hey, have you seen this book? And stuff like that. It was just unreal.
Wow.
You know, I read about Sir Sterling when I was maybe 9, 10 years old. My grandfather gave me this.
This is Sterling Moss. I don't know if you've ever heard that name before or not.
I've heard the full name, but I didn't know who you're talking about. But
Yeah. So
that's just me.
Absolute icon, widely considered as the greatest, one of the greatest living racing drivers of all time.
Cool.
And his greatest racing accomplishment, which I'm getting to, is the win of the 1955 Mille Miglia, which, crazy story, and I'll try and make it short. But after the Little Red racing car came out, and after there was a bit of a friendship there, where I went from writing his PA to writing him and Lady Susie, and got to talk with him on the phone and sign next to him at this event and things like that. I had this brainstorm one morning. I was at Gooding and Company auction in Scottsdale, and I was looking at this silver Porsche RSK. And I thought about Sir Sterling Moss owning an RSK, and then I thought about this other silver car that was famously associated with Sir Sterling Moss, that being the Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR.
Right.
And
that's the one with the red numbers on it,
yeah,
right?
722.
Silver with the red numbers. 722, got it.
Yeah. And, or as my little daughter called it at the time, the tutu car. The tutu.
Love it.
Yeah, and I'll never forget that. So I had this picture in my head of telling that story, because it's just this epic, iconic drive. You know, I forget now because I have terrible retention problems for details. I love details, and then I lose them within a short period of time.
Can't hang on to everything.
Thanks, Dwight.
Yeah.
Can't hang on to everything.
But 1,000 miles on partially closed down public roads
All
in
worth
Italy.
it to see that face.
Some of which are like old Roman roads. They're mountain roads on the sides with no guardrails, 600 feet drops through the Apennine Pass, stuff like that.
Stuff you see on Top Gear, that kind of thing.
Terrifying stuff. And taking those bends based on handwritten notes at like over 100 miles an hour with no guardrail, you know, in this, you know, at the time, it's
That's
the latest supercar.
Yeah,
but,
right.
you know, it's a car that
Couldn't even imagine.
It handles well for then, but not for now. You know?
It's the gull wing we're talking about, right? It was a gull wing?
It's not a gull wing.
It's not a gull wing.
This was based on their Formula One cars, and it was bodied as a sports racer, but it was truly like a prototype. And they only built like 8 of these cars.
Gotcha. Okay. I never knew what the story was with that car, because I know it's like chopped up and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a roadster. It's a road. I mean, it looks like a road-going car, but it's
but it's on the W196 chassis.
it's
I
got
believe.
that like
and
beautiful humps in the back kind of a thing. Yeah. Okay.
it's almost Maserati-ish looking. You know, like kind of that era of swoopy D-type Jag.
Just a really pretty car.
Big,
is what I'm
mean
I'm pretty
car.
sure I have it. I own it in Forza.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, one of the most expensive cars in Forza.
There you go. Yeah.
I know because I use Forza as reference material sometimes for my books. Like I calculate, like I do rough sketches where I say this, it's turning right, it's leaning this direction, you know, whatever. And then when I get the car to throw its weight around exactly the right way, I rotate my camera angle around to
you can see what the physics are.
Right.
Love it.
And then I'm able to capture that exactly with what it's doing. And then
This is brilliant.
Such a details guy.
No,
That's
but
why
I love that. That's
Dwight.
the equivalent of making a model, you know, for a
Exactly.
sculptor or whatever.
And that's why his stuff is so
Oh,
good.
then he knows the process.
yeah. And I use models sometimes too, you know. And so like when I illustrate posters for events and things like that, I'll buy the particular car that they want to use, and I'll photograph it from various angles, and I'll use different lenses to foreshorten and things like that, and then I'll create my own reference material for stuff like that. But
Gosh, that's so cool.
yeah.
Thorough artistry, man.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shout out to Xbox, by the way. Just
I know,
no,
right?
I don't want to make it about that, but
Brought to you by.
well, we were just at Rod Emery's shop too a week or so ago, and they were.
Hey, you
scanning.
dropped something there.
His name. Got
Oh,
it.
I see,
Yeah,
I see.
know. Thank you.
See, I thought it was the audio,
totally
so all of a
kidding.
sudden I shit
No.
my
He's
pants.
like-
Thanks. Yeah.
Now he's intellectual.
Totally kidding.
Left brain. What happened?
They scanned cars of his for the game, and the process at which that goes, I don't even know what I'm saying, but it's nuts to how that works.
Yep.
Because they make it, I mean, I guess it's just 3D scaling these days or whatever, but the detail at which they get
Oh, and they
is
calculate.
nuts. And then the sound, and then the physics. Like,
Yes.
I don't understand it all, how they get all that data.
To
It's nuts.
the degree of adjusting tire pressure and feeling a change in the handling. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Now,
For
shout out to
someone
Porsche.
not familiar with this shit, I just want to thank them because that really does, like, you get the feel of a rear-wheel drive car versus a rear all-wheel drive car and rear engine cars versus four-wheel drive cars. And for someone who didn't normally pay attention, it's all done up nice because it's yours, and I just
No, I wasn't
going
to say that. I was going to say I make effort to explain those differences. Oh, now feel this one. Now drive it. Now feel this one, because the controller.
This one's going to push, you know.
Yeah, and
this one you can slide.
Even with, forget the regular understanding of it, even with the MS, there is
a breakdown in feel.
We're using it almost as a tool, because it's like hand-eye coordination for one, and then just the tactileness of it to feel the difference, because the controller you're holding onto is identical, but the feelings you're getting and what that's sending to your brain are different.
Absolutely.
Like, to minute details. You're talking about the air pressure.
It's because of the details like that allows you to retrain your brain as sophisticatedly as you need to function in a society that moves so fast.
Well put.
Yeah.
Hi,
wow.
You're good energy, buddy.
How ironic is that? Like, she's talking about that, but then just like constructed this perfect.
I used to be smart.
Oh,
and people don't seem to know that about me, but I'm going to pull it out in small pieces thanks to these video games.
Yeah, my girl's wicked
people
smart.
Like you.
Wicked smart. Yeah, we've come a long way from pole position. Just saying.
When I first moved out here and drove literally the first night, first time I'd ever been here, I didn't even move. It was just going to the hotel when I was checking it out. I drove from LA. I got the rental car from LAX into downtown because I was, as you've heard on the show, staying in downtown.
Yeah, the Biltmore, yeah.
Driving through the highways with all of all of that stuff, it was Outrun. Do you remember the game Outrun? It was that. And then the next day I'm out at PCH, I was like, I want to drive through the water.
Yeah, it's so
Who
funny.
knew?
I know.
I remember when Outrun came out, that was like the hottest, hippest, most detailed game ever.
Yep.
With a Ferrari steering wheel and the whole bit.
Oh, yeah.
When I was in college, I got Need for Speed came out in partnership, I believe, with Road and Track.
Oh, I remember that.
And it was the very first, like, where they sampled the audio from the real cars and all that stuff. And
shit.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was like the beginning of licensing with manufacturers.
It's like when they went to 16-bit versus 8 or whatever it was.
Yeah, and those pixels looked so much like trees, it was incredible.
Yep.
But a buddy
Don't sit too close to the set.
yeah. A buddy of mine and I would lose hours on that game because we perfected one of the tracks, and it had Maple Valley, I think, is what the track was. So
it was a fake place, right? It was from the game,
Yeah. And I at the time there wasn't really, like, for the big gateway PC 19-inch CRT monitor that was deeper than it was across. You know,
I had one too.
Yeah. And
you had to put it in a corner.
Yes, exactly right. Yep, because if you set it on a desk like this, it went all the way to the back, and there was no
room for the keyboard.
So funny.
So we would sit in front of that, and there weren't, like, add-on wheels really at the time, at least that were any good. And so we had a flight joystick that we drove the car with.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, and we would just each shave like a millisecond off and beat the guy's time. And he'd walk into the room after a class, and he'd see that his time was gone, and then he'd beat me by 3 seconds. And I'm like, "How did you find 3 seconds?" And then we'd just go back and forth. It was so
Next
much fun.
thing you know, you're failing every subject.
Yeah, and it turned into a nerd video game podcast. I love it. That's awesome.
I remember the joystick from Mario Kart. It's not the same. Driving a Mario Kart car versus what you were driving.
Yeah.
It's a little different, but it's still a joystick. Why were you driving with a joystick?
Just
Didn't
the
they
wheels.
make
There was a really lousy wheel that I remember, but I don't remember any decent wheels now.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I have this really awesome. I've got a racing seat with force feedback with and a shifter and
the
everything.
Fanatec or the G25
it's
Logitech.
The type Logitech.
Yeah.
It's the top Logitech, and so I absolutely love the system. I don't love that I never get to touch it. Yeah. I use it for reference material.
Oh, you've got way too much going on, brother. Seriously. I mean, you just your business and everything, you've got a lot going on, and then you're just dealing with a lot of stuff, too.
Busy keeping all of us dressed and...
Seriously. Sending little stuff in the mail to people.
Yeah.
We appreciate that every time. It's always a delight. A delight. A Dwight delight.
Dwight Delight.
Wow. Totally.
Dwight the Delight Knowlton.
All right, so we're still on Sterling Moss in the 722 car. We didn't finish that.
Okay. So yeah, I had this brainstorm. I'm standing there. I'm looking at the RSK. It leads me to the other silver car that Sir Sterling is famous for. And I went right back home after. I think I even like left Gooding early to go home and wrote up a proposal to Sir Sterling. Wow. Mocked up a quick, terrible sketch of what the cover of the book could look like, and said, I want to tell the story. I want to tell it in collaboration with you. I don't want to do it unless you're involved. So I waited for, I was going to say he agreed, but let me skip that part for a second. So, so now you can't imagine the suspense that's coming now that I've told you he agreed.
Yeah.
So I waited for like 30 days or so for a response, and I had sent it to his PA we haven't switched at this point to getting direct responses from Sir Sterling yet. And so I sent it to his...
Your direct contact has been like when you're at signings with him and stuff, right? You're not calling this guy on the phone and being like, sir...
We have gotten to do that. I had Budweiser for breakfast once at his bar at his house. Got to sit there with him.
Wow.
In his swimsuit. He came in from the pool, sat next to me, and I had a couple Budweisers, and we just hung out and had this amazing morning. And there's a really funny story there too. I'll tell you later. But
yeah, don't tell it here.
Yeah, no,
gosh,
no,
wouldn't want to hear anything funny.
No, and not about an icon like Sterling Moss.
Oh, I see that kind of story.
In a Speedo.
Yes, off the record then.
Oh no, it's not off the record. It's just but it's a very funny story.
A photo shoot like that.
Tug of war with Sterling Moss because he wanted something back. Very awkward for me. And Lady Susie comes over. No, no, and so it's this envelope. And he decides that he wants to keep the envelope. I think that envelope would be worth 2 pence. That's a good used envelope that I could use again. I think I want the envelope, and he grabs it and starts to tug on it. And I've heard stories about Sir Sterling being very careful with money, I'll say. And which is why he's built, the empire.
Sure.
But anyway, very, very uncomfortable for little me to be holding something that he's trying to tug out of my hand and keep. And so I let go, and Lady Susie comes over, and she's like tugging back in my direction and saying, "Sterling, let go," and whatever.
What was the article? I mean, does that change the context of the?
No, it was 3 signed books, 1 to me and 2 to my kids, with custom inscriptions inside from Sir Sterling. We'd finished The Greatest Race.
So you were welcome to keep the books, but he would like the envelope.
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the envelope. I can use that.
It was padded, man.
It was a padded envelope.
Those aren't cheap.
That's money.
No.
That's money.
Yeah. So
that's really funny.
Yeah, it was a very, very funny story and an incredible morning. So jumping back to the agreement to do the book.
Sure.
So I waited like 30 or so days, and I'm just coming apart inside because I can see this book and I'm dreaming this book.
It has to happen.
Yeah. And I haven't gotten an answer, and so I went that morning to one of my children's swim class, and I'm sitting next to my wife, and we're looking out at the pool, and I just got antsy, and I pulled out my phone and I typed an email to his PA, and I said, I don't even care if the answer is no. I want an answer, and she wrote me like literally right back, like bing, bing, and I read this email, and she had like taken a photo or scanned or whatever it is, this typed email, and she's like, I'm so sorry. I had this answer for you within like 2 days of when you asked the question, and I've just forgotten to get it in the mail to you. I can still send you the letter if you'd like to keep the letter. And I was like, yes, please. And it was absolutely a yes.
Oh, wow.
And so we went so far beyond just a yes to him agreeing to do the book. I got to, after the book was done and he loved the book, I haven't released this yet. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but one of my favorite things that I've ever accomplished, perhaps, is I contracted a BBC radio producer, set up a time, he agreed, and this girl went to Sterling's flat in London and recorded the audio version of Sir Sterling reading the book I wrote.
Isn't that cool?
Whoa.
That's really
An 85-year-old man making the engine noises of a children's book and reading the story.
Still unreleased.
Yeah.
Whoa, yeah, for now.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And it gives me chills when I listen to it. I've listened to it numerous times.
And you have the right to do something with it, obviously.
Yes,
I mean, this wasn't just for you and your kids.
Right.
Wow,
Right, yeah.
what an awesome thing. That's a great asset.
Yeah.
Hang on to it until the right thing. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's what you'll do anyway.
And,
but
and the whole reason that it's not out there is not because I want to capitalize on it or anything. It's because I want to treat it right and do it. And so if it's in perhaps an interactive version of the book where things move, if it's used in an app or whatever it is.
I have my own ideas. I don't even want to say them here. No, I'm very serious. I think that it could be an animated short.
Yeah.
I mean, you could animate, you know what I'm saying already.
Yep.
You're already thinking that?
Yeah.
Sky's the limit with that.
I'm just saying, if you've got the narrator and it's the guy, it's the guy.
It's already there. You could build the rest around it.
Yeah. You've already built the rest. You're
the
the artist.
He owns the rights to everything already.
That's
it's all
what I
there.
mean.
Yep. Yeah. Just needs to put it together in the right capacity.
Yeah. And it doesn't need to be full animation. It could be just, it could be a Ken Burns effect over your existing illustrations. You could do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. But this is an opportunity for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And one of the things that Sir Sterling and Lady Susie have loved about what I've done is just that, he's an absolute icon, but in this age of too much information, people have, what Dale Jr., for example, retired a couple months ago or something. I don't know. I don't follow NASCAR, but I know that that's been like big news. He's probably forgotten about already. The stuff moves so fast now. Yeah.
You haven't been to a trailer park in a while, have you?
I haven't.
Well, his dad. There's still threes
he's
everywhere.
Probably a big deal still.
I'm sure he is. But you know what I'm saying. Things move so fast now that we're on to the next thing all the time.
Always.
And so for them,
people think that this is an original idea. They don't remember Dave.
The good shit comes back. The good shit is longevity. Everything else kind of filters around it. So you're in a good sweet spot.
Yeah.
I like it.
Totally agree. It's a small
congratulations.
Yeah. Gotta talk about that.
Sure. Congratulations, though, on the invention of the talk show. I think it's really cool.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. It's something I've been thinking around.
Jay Ryan killing the talk show game
for a little bit.
Oh man, you guys are awesome.
It just amazes me how natural you are at this. It trips me out. It really does. I watch this and I'm just I don't know how you don't have a staff of 10 people behind the scenes. If I had not been here in person and seen that you're doing this whole thing by yourself, I would have never believed it. And that is no BS.
Thanks, man.
I really believe that. It's crazy.
That means the world. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you're still doing this. I'm glad you didn't give up and you're still learning and everything's good. And this is crazy. It's really cool.
That's why we're doing it, because we're being surrounded by people who are saying things like this. You know what I mean? It's how you couldn't stop even if we wanted to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of a sudden it's a public utility where people are like, oh, no. We watch you. Well, there's not that many views. More people tell us that they watch it than we have actual views, so I don't know how that works.
Right.
But and I don't really care because I don't know how any of that stuff works. I'm on the creative side.
I don't think you guys realize the effect you have on people. You guys have gotten me to the last few months, and seriously, you're something I can look forward to talking to in my mind. When I'm watching you guys, I've got ideas in my head too. Oh yeah, totally. It's really cool what you guys are doing. I really, not to get all sappy.
We'll take sappy.
Yeah, you guys rock. I love that you're doing this. It's really cool. I think this all happened for a reason, and and then it's cool to bring other people into this whole realm.
Yeah.
Because Ray and Dwight are such positive forces in this hobby. And to when you immerse yourself with people like that, there's nothing but good things that are going to happen. And that's how I feel with you guys. Real talk.
Well, with the real talk, first of all, we love you. Thank you for that. I will say, and Mrs. Ryan, thank you. She's just as much part of this. I will say that I think that we got a jump start by having you on as a first guest, because not only your interest in us, your authenticity was exactly what we were pushing. So we weren't anticipating having a first guest, but you're like, well, I'm in town, and we were going to hang out anyway.
Yeah, the planets just aligned. Yeah, it's weird. Planets just aligned, right? And look, now you've got Rod Emery coming over, and comedians, and this is what you guys were aspiring to do, and you're already doing it. It's already here. That's something that I would think you'd have to kind of get your bearings for after a while, and work your way into it. You guys are already there.
I like to get my bearings on camera. Yeah. So here I am.
It means the world. It means the world. Because my head is always wrapped up in I'm directing and doing this other stuff, and we've got so many other projects that are outside of what you see on this show.
You wear a lot of hats, but you do it well, man. You really do. So just keep doing what you're doing. That's all I'm saying.
Salute. We're not going anywhere.
Well, good. I hope not.
Yeah.
So I have to come kick your ass.
Now we got to figure out a way to monetize it and all that stuff.
Now, if you just had a cool desk to put here.
Oh, man, that would be cool.
Any suggestions? Any ideas?
No, nothing's coming to mind, man.
There was a desk. Okay, when I was in college, I used to go down the hall to the TV lounge at my dorm.
Okay.
And I used to watch the show. And there was a desk on that show that was...
What was it called? Do you remember the name of it?
Was it a talk show?
Daniel Letterchild.
That's the one.
Yeah. And there was this desk. All of these people sat at this desk and they talked. And he would do something like, "Can I do this?"
Yeah, that's one of his pencils.
Oh, all right. I'm not going to do that. Then.
Oh no! It's no fragile. No, no. It's not like that. I mean, yeah, that's not like that. No, there's nothing precious.
So yeah,
I just meant like they were literally CBS pencils from an old box.
That's awesome. Well, I'm not going to write on your white wall by flicking a pencil anyway. But anyway, yeah. Yeah. You should use the desk.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, and you think the same thing?
It's a total
we
yes.
were talking
It's a
about
yes
this.
here.
All right, for those at home, we used to got the Letterman desk and chairs debate going on, and of course we talked about it with everybody ahead of time before. But it just sort of came up when we were all sitting here, and everyone. It seems to be yes. Mm-hmm. Ray, yes, yep. All right, so.
But your first guest has to be Drew Barrymore.
Can you help me? All right, now can I tell you this? Did you ever see the movie My Date with Drew?
No.
Are you aware of its existence?
No.
It was a guy made a documentary about getting a date with Drew.
Really?
I used to work with that guy.
No way.
did?
Are
Yeah,
you serious?
that guy used to be Bill D'Elia's assistant, as in Chris D'Elia's dad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Oh, I gotta watch it now.
Yeah.
It's a great. I remember.
Brian
I
Herzlinger.
saw it when
Shout
it
out to
came
Brian
out.
Herzlinger.
I remember liking the documentary, but I don't remember anything about it.
Anyway, of course, you're referring to Dave's birthday on the desk, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the same desk, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have that. Hang on here. There it is. That's the shot there, right?
After.
God, that's so cool. I mean, just think of the people that have been at that desk.
And Bill Murray, that was the first night there, spray painting Dave on it.
I love that photo.
Yep.
I
So you know what? This has nothing to do with you guys, but I'm going to ask since you're here because maybe you can help. But we're trying to get the word out. That is a chair we need to locate, and not like that one, but one like it. It's like from the 80s. It was sold by Knoll. There's nothing fancy about it. It just happens to be the right kind of chair that we're looking
think
for.
Ray
Sparked
likes chairs.
Ray's
He got
chair
up.
fetish.
Yeah.
The chair fetish has been
No, but
ignited.
it's not one anybody would look for or collect. It's not like mid-century or anything. But it was by Knoll, and we're looking for that type of chair. If anybody knows one,
Have you been to Office Depot?
I was gonna say
No, see now that's where.
Like that looks like every chair at Office
generic
Depot
office
still.
chair.
Well, that's where our detail minds are a little bit different. And my obsession is like, no, it should be the right one, you know?
It's got to be that one.
Yeah.
NOS, still in the box. You want to assemble it yourself.
Whoa, really?
Preferably. I don't know.
I love this.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Now, when are you going to have Ray Shaffer from Porsche come in to talk about chairs? Is that soon?
Well, that's the reason we invited him here.
Yeah.
We know he's an expert on seating apparatus.
Yeah.
And we heard that, he was going to be here all the way from Atlanta.
Yeah.
And we were like, we have to get this guy from Porsche in here to talk
Chairs.
about chairs.
I know.
Because he's the guy.
He is the
Are we done with you? Are you already are you done with the hot seat?
I'm not checking out. I mean, I don't.
Oh, you're
I
just
don't-
making a joke.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well,
But
tell
you
us.
You can be done with me.
No,
if
no.
you-
I don't. We, the interview thing is not really what we do. It's more of like a conversation and just, a lot more casual.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have known each other online for, I don't know, gosh, a couple
18
years.
years,
18 years? Is
Yeah.
that what it's up to now?
Yeah.
So is there anything you have for us? This is our first time meeting. I'm delighted with how it's going so far.
Yeah.
But is there anything you had in your arsenal that you wanted to talk about? And
Gotta
or
talk
is there
about
anything
the
you want to talk
small
about us?
silver speedster since we're here for Luft weekend.
Yeah.
Can't not talk about Porsche stuff there.
That's a book
The
that's
book that we have
that's a
on
book
our
that's
shelf in
sitting-
our
I don't know if
living
you'll be able
room.
to see. You can actually see it. It's behind Ray on the shelf back there.
Love that.
Happy to have it on Ray's shelf as well.
Oh, is that right? Is that at Porsche? Whoa.
Oh, he's even got it in the archives there.
In Georgia.
Seriously?
In Atlanta. Oh, absolutely. Right, Ray?
I can't wait to hear about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is
And
it
Jennifer
with a
Nicole
chair?
told us yesterday that it's on display in her office as well at Porsche LA. So.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
She is
Special reading
she at
chair?
PEC?
Okay, good.
Yes.
She is.
Okay.
Yeah, Jennifer Nicole, super nice girl. I don't know what her capacity is. Is she public
what I was gonna
relations? Is
ask.
she PR, Ray? Jennifer Nicole? Oh, she's
the manager.
Period. There you go.
All right.
Shout out to Jennifer Nicole.
Big
Hello.
time.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Can't wait to do a remote down there. Just saying.
I know, right?
Just saying. As soon as we're invited, we'll do one.
I could probably help you guys hook that up. I think they'd love to have you guys down there. That'd be really neat.
When we get a little bigger, maybe they'd be interested. I don't know. I'm amazed that you've even heard of us. No comment. Copy that.
They actually have little rooms, like breakout rooms and stuff, where people are just welcome to
Oh, you could totally podcast in one of those rooms.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, people will like rent these little boardrooms out or whatever.
They have
for like a meeting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they have right down to like a space like this.
Right. So if there's a client in San Diego and a client, in North Hollywood, they'll just kind of meet in the middle, which is cool, and they rent those out.
It's very cool.
That's a neat idea.
See you in Carson.
I know, right?
And they got the new blimp across the street now.
Yeah,
that's all inflated. It's brand new. You know,
Yeah.
we didn't have a Goodyear blimp for a year.
That Goodyear one that we drove by the other day. That's new.
Yep. We were going to a Porsche event. Where were we going?
Rod's point. Period. Correct.
Good job. Nice.
Yeah. Pull out the detail.
We're so big. We do so much.
I don't know how
man.
you guys do it all. It's insane.
You know what's funny? We only do the stuff we're invited to, and we still have to not do tons of stuff.
Right.
There's just not enough time. There's not enough time in the day.
Well, it's just cool that you guys are so well liked in this community. That's what I'm cool with.
So.
Yeah.
She is. She definitely is.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to fish for compliments, but literally people are like, when they see us places, they go to her.
Nicole! Oh, hi, Jay.
Oh, hi, Jay.
A lot of that. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I feel like that.
I understand.
What are you doing here?
I feel like it used to be like that in my business, too. Comedians like him more than me. So,
isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is funny. I could hang with them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that was part of the beginning of the end for me was when I started bringing you around because everyone's like, oh, that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty annoying, too.
Yeah,
the guy who wants to be funny but doesn't have an outlet like this yet, so he's just like really the talk show host without a talk show. You know what I mean? Like that, you don't need to be around that for very long.
Well, now you have an outlet, so
so I'm more normal in real life.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying.
It all works out.
It does.
All right, Little Silver Speedster.
Okay.
While it is appreciated and renowned and on walls everywhere.
Tell us about it. Chairs.
So
with reading chairs, thank you, Ray Shaffer. 17 different reading positions in his home.
It's best read in an Eames chair, really, the Small Silver Speedster.
Okay.
Damn near everything is.
It's a good note.
That's the Ferris Bueller of it. If you have the means, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, so the Small Silver Speedster was actually...
I keep saying little, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
the
fine.
Small Silver Speedster.
Yeah, small and little, they're similar.
Synonymous.
Yeah. So that was going to be my second book. Because father-son, tiny little anecdote for the Little Red Racing Car. It was due at print, and all the files were done. It was zipped up. It was ready to send off, and we found out that we were expecting a little girl. And so I didn't change the story, but I went back through a couple of the illustrations, and I took a spot where I have this dog that spends a lot of time with the boy, and there were a couple places where I took the dog and I put him in the background, and up here somewhere closer to the front of the page, I tucked this little girl, one time holding her mama's hand and things like that. And so I just added in, not into the telling of the story, but just little pictures of this little girl being part of the story. And then since she was on the way, I knew that there was going to be a father-daughter story then. And so I expected that to be next. And then I announced it, and then I had the brainstorm for the book with Sir Sterling. And I knew that needed to happen.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to him, and that happened. And my books... I'm very frustrating to people that want my books because
Hi, Dwight.
Hi.
Oh, you mean because of the delays, because of your perfectionism and stuff?
That is, yes.
Okay.
So
well, I salute that stuff. I'd rather wait and have it be...
Not everybody does.
Not everyone's like that.
All right, but as an artist, I would
Wednesday.
rather know that I have a product that the artist is happy with.
Oh,
if I've got a product that even the artist isn't happy with, why the hell would I want it?
Yep.
Let alone everybody else.
That's what sucks about Kickstarter. Like, we went through the same thing with the Bug
I don't even
movie,
know her.
too. That was the same thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, hurry up, I want it, and you're trying to make it good, and it's like, you can't rush this.
Yeah.
This is a creative process. Like, it's not done till we say it's done. Damn it.
Well, and I will say that people have been...
It's just all that builds anticipation, by the way. It's fabulous.
Yeah. Oh, I get very positive messages, even from people that are still waiting for their shipment as I continually leave town for things and then have to come back and try and ship some
Sorry, everybody. Thanks for coming out, Dwight. I wanted to say again, thanks for coming here specifically for the podcast.
No.
No.
That's not what I meant by no.
Jesus, Dwight.
So anyway, yeah, every book seems to start to take longer for me. So the Little Red Racing Car intentionally was going to take a while. I mean, I said I've never written a book before, and I am going to write this book. I think I just picked a number, but I think 16 times. I'm going to write this book, and what I did was I wrote a story from scratch. I think a dozen times, and then what I did was I picked the nuggets, the best nugget out of every one.
That's how a stand-up special is made. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I didn't reference notes each time I wrote it. I didn't try and harvest anything. I wrote it, and so different things happened in every story. And then I went through, and the absolute best nugget in each made the page, And so there were.
What made you try that? Was that something you'd heard about before? Or is that something you've done before?
It wasn't. It was something where I wanted every time you turned the page to be an ooh. An moment. And so that's why I did it that way. I've not written the...
But you thought that, if I do it this way, that is a better opportunity to create these ooh-ah moments.
Yeah.
It's certainly more work, times 12. I've never heard of anyone doing it, and I'm fascinated by it. I kind of want to explore it myself a little bit. So that's why I'm just curious.
See my note cards in the garbage?
Say again?
Did you see my note cards in the garbage?
No.
I threw them out 2 days ago. I get what you're saying. It's like recreating the moment for yourself so that you can put it down there. But you've already wasted all the bad, kind of almost there comedy ideas of almost have a punchline, but not really.
Yeah.
For dramatic shit.
Yeah.
You make awesome books.
Yeah.
Thank you. That process.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I keep saying yeah and no to things, and then it sounds like you say you make awesome books, and I say yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's not what I meant.
Thanks, Dwight. That's what I
do. Dwight Knowlton comes across as a real dick.
Sorry about that, guys.
He's a Porsche guy.
The Porsche nut.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, good one. I see what you did there.
Yeah. 14 millimeter.
Definitely 14 millimeter.
Yeah. So the Small Silver Speedster got pushed. It got pushed twice because I take longer on every book than I ever intend. And then I shoved a book in the middle, And then The Greatest Race was very difficult. We were chatting about this earlier. How do you edit down? Because you have to, if you're going to tell the story of the Mille Miglia, a race that last happened in 1957, the real thing, the real race, not the recreation.
Right.
Not that pansy stuff they do now.
Oh my. Oh my.
It's still exhausting, but it's not. They're not going to die.
Right.
Yeah.
Not right away.
Eventually. Yeah. Eventually.
Maybe in a hospital a week later. Not instantly, as they come careening down a hill.
Right.
Caffeine's working.
So how do you tell the backstory of this amazing race that lots of people weren't familiar with?
Mm-hmm.
Tell the really long story of months of preparation. The fact that the car was purpose-built and never existed before, and so it's a purpose-built car. Two, iconic driver and co-driver. How do you do that in 48 pages?
You know what I would do?
It's what you did. You have to make the entire story exposition.
I would write it 12 times and then pick a nugget from each.
That'll never work. That's never going to work. That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard.
That was
lame
seriously.
idea.
I don't even know why I brought that up.
Never bring that up again.
Go on. That's why I'm not an author.
I'm the king of rabbit trails, so I can actually take this how did I do the book down a fun little rabbit trail.
I like it.
So I actually, not quite as big as your life poster right there, but a very large piece of paper. I hand drew the 1955 Mille Miglia route. Mercedes-Benz gave me access to the archives, sent me all of the photos and all of the documents that they had related to that Mille Miglia.
Wow. I got trusting.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, it's digital, so they gave me digital access to the
case,
digital.
Yeah, but they're not handing it out.
Right, it's not, yeah.
At
Still
Costco,
access.
it's
Yes.
great.
Nice access.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was the first really, no offense to Maserati, but there aren't the people passionate about the history the same way in the brand. It's been a stepchild of 17 different car companies over the course of its history.
Bastard stepchild often.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably a ginger.
What happened to you?
In my head, I was redheaded. It's a horrible joke.
Oh my God.
That's why I love it.
So I collected so I got a copy of, this is a book. I didn't get a copy of Sir Sterling's actual diary, but there is a published 1955 diary because he keeps all this stuff. He has one of those cranking archives collected of all of the major things like notes and pictures and everything that he's accomplished in his life and everything in his London flat, where you crank the thing out of the way.
The big
like from a library. Yeah.
Stacks, they call them stacks.
Yeah. So he has the stacks And out of those stacks, he's worked with a publisher in London to create these books that they're coffee table books. They're massive for each of his major years in racing. And so I got...
So neat.
Yeah. So I got his book on the 722. It's a special limited 722 book, just with the 722 numbers on the cover. And he signed it to me like, "Good luck on the book, Dwight," or something like that. And then I got the massive copy of his 1955 diary, and then access to the Mercedes-Benz archives. And on that map, I wrote every location where there was a Mercedes-Benz official pit stop, which was a whole new idea. In the Mille Miglia at the time, when they would run the race, they just selected gas stations as pit stops, and everybody that was racing every make of car pulled off at that gas station as an official refueling point and did that. Wow. And Mercedes-Benz actually had the idea of, hey, we're going to train our own guys to know our cars inside and out. And so instead of it taking like 5 minutes for a wheel change, it takes, 30 seconds or a minute or whatever it took on that car. And then refueling took, so the other brands would pull off, and the gas station attendants, the gas attendants didn't even know like where the fuel filler was on this particular car. They'd run up to the Ferrari, and one time it's over here, and one time it depended on the model, and they had to find the fuel filler first. Meanwhile, Mercedes-Benz has pit guys in uniforms with armbands on.
How funny is that?
Going out to their car, and
I'd call it an advantage.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's
their leg up. Yeah, that's their leg up on the competition. Yeah. That's smart, because if it's completely within the rules, why wouldn't you do that?
And so it was an innovation at the time, and Sir Sterling actually overtook Sterling because he had a more powerful Ferrari. Overtook him. He was just burning up his tires. It's all in the book. You can read it. But he overtook him, and then with a bigger motor. And Sir Sterling chose to be conservative. Still a very powerful car. Chose to be conservative, and then actually overtook him at a pit stop by having like a 30-second pit stop instead of a 3-minute pit stop, and then never saw him again.
Wow.
So it was those kinds of innovations, but all of those details of like, this is where we had the notes wrong, and we hit a bridge at 150 miles an hour and jumped for over 100 feet in the air because it said that we could take it at full speed, and we didn't realize that we couldn't.
In hindsight, that was probably a 6.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah. So stuff like that. I wrote every detail down like that on the map. And then when I was at Lime Rock one year for signing of the Little Red Racing Car with Sir Sterling, I got to sit down for 5-10 minutes with Sir Sterling, with him poring over the details of this map. And he's telling me things, and I'm crossing things out and making notes and stuff. And he said, actually, for this period of time when the smaller cars were taking off from the start, it wasn't every minute, it was every 30 seconds for the smaller displacement cars and stuff. And I was correcting those little things. And half of those details on the map, more than half probably, didn't make the book. But I have that map with all those notes handwritten on it, crossing things out, notes in there, and then Sir Sterling writing something and signing it to me.
That's so cool.
That's what I love about Dwight, though. Like, this is stuff that nobody would even know. No one's going to call them on that. Like, absolutely. I'm pretty sure it was 30 seconds, not 1 minute. But
that's funny. Sterling Moss said.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
And then he noted it right here,
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, just the details. That's what attracted me to him in the first place with everything, is just he's so historically accurate.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
There's
it's almost
quality
like
and effort.
It's a historic record of sorts. It really is. Like, people look back on the stuff that you've done, and I mean, just like with the competition motor stuff. Like, I mean, that's the real phone number. That's the real address from 55.
And it's like 2 miles away from here, from this spot.
We went there yesterday.
Yeah.
We drove by there yesterday. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. It's amazing how much and how many people drive by that every day, going to El Pollo Loco.
How many people have tried to call that number? Who's got that number?
We
now?
should get that next.
Like,
that's
seriously.
why I didn't look up what an area code would have been.
It probably would have been 213 back then, I'm guessing. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Gosh, that's so funny.
But
that's so cool.
That's what's great about your stuff. It's
everybody
so
loves
detail oriented.
Everybody loves the compy stuff. By the way, that when I wore the white short sleeve of that, I can't even remember where we were, but it was new, and people didn't have the opportunity to have that one yet, or something, or they hadn't seen it, and we not swarmed, but like a handful of people were like, "Oh, where'd you get that? I don't have that one." Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So do you realize that your stuff is kind of like your clothing, books aside, your clothing is kind of it's kind of a big deal out here in SoCal. I don't know about the rest of the world, but people wear it all the time. I'm going to start like taking pictures for you or something.
We're noticing a lot more shipping to California.
Okay.
So yeah, we're seeing that. We're
Okay.
seeing that. And honestly, it's opening interesting doors. You know, we got a private tour of Singer the other day.
Cool.
That came completely out of the fact that one of the guys at Singer has a Competition Motors Porsche, originally picked up from Competition Motors.
Sweet.
He saw my stuff, talked to Chris Mora, who's an acquaintance now, becoming a friend of mine. And it's weaving this community together.
Sure.
And so then Chris reached out to me through a connection and offered me a private tour. And then I said, Tory, let's do this. And then like we got to do that. I was at a party the other night and spent just half an hour talking to this very nice guy. We hadn't met and we hadn't talked about what we did or anything else.
I love how these stories go.
Oh yeah,
that's great.
And after a half an hour, Owen Hayes, the race director at Porsche, handed me his business card and said, "If you'd like a private tour of Porsche Motorsport at PEC." And so we literally got a 3-hour tour.
Let's think about that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm busy.
What am I doing?
Yeah. I was
have
going
to wash my hair.
Yeah. I was going to buy some pencils at Walmart, but I guess. So Tory and I had like a 3-hour tour. We saw gears in boxes in the storeroom. Like we saw
like NOS parts from 962 race cars in the back. He's
Were
like,
you
this
just
is
nutting out? Like so crazy.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Porsche nut?
I was Porsche nutting out, man.
Yeah.
It was
So
crazy.
cool.
Yeah, the 962001 is being restored there right now, and we're like right there, you know, and it was amazing. So yeah, even just
To touch the metal is a
stuff.
big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like to actually, it's a big
It's
deal.
one thing to see it behind the glass, you know.
Yeah.
It's another to be the guy that's behind the glass, like looking out and pointing and laughing at everyone else. Like,
That's one of
Yeah.
the things
Don't
that's
you
so
wish you
cool
were
about the
back here?
Peterson now is that everything is so accessible. You know, I mean, they've got the security and everything to a point where they can just have the cars right out there so that you can breathe on them and just they're there.
smell them.
It's different. It's different. It's better.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
straight up better.
Yep.
That's what I love about, you know, I go to RM and Gooding and stuff every year, and that's what I love
You can
about
sit
those.
in the cars. You can check them out.
Yeah, that's what I love about those as compared to like Barrett Jackson. Not just the difference in cars, but you don't have a poorly restored 72
Cuda.
Trans Am,
Right.
behind plastic chains.
Right.
You have, you know, like the original Bolux trailer prototype with no serial number that you can walk inside of, you know, stuff like that. Before
So
they sold
neat.
to Airstream, and you know, like, just I love it.
It's so neat.
They need to sell chairs. I think that's our
Well,
next
it's
thing.
funny you should bring that up. I think we have a chair expert that we should probably
Yes.
bring in
I
at
think we
this
should.
point too.
Let's do it.
All right, so everybody, we're
Speaking
gonna
of
bring
chairs.
in Ray Shaffer. Maybe do a bathroom break. Hang tight. We'll be back in a few minutes. Burb.
How are these hanging here?
Oh, it doesn't. You can leave them on the desk, whatever.
Oh, I think I'm getting it to stay. Nope, I'm not getting it to stay. All right, there we go.
Oh, please. I heard you speak. Are you kidding me? Your thing at the, with Zwart, that was amazing. Yeah, such a good moderator. Like, Ray, you're a natural at that as well.
Have a passion for Mercedes. It's more about a pretense thing than a passion for the car, right? And so it's different. Porsche, I think, is the most. I get this from everything I've done Porsche, including
Sorry.
books. People have liked the Little Red Racing Car and the Maserati story. People have liked the Mercedes-Benz story, but nobody has loved it the way the Porsche people have, right? Yeah.
There's a passion community.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think you guys, right? Okay. You good to sit out? Oh, absolutely. Okay, cool. Okay. I know you're Mr. Ham It Up, so I like having you out there.
Minor comedic relief.
We've got karting stories to talk about.
Oh, we do. That's right.
I think the best story though of the whole day was Jeff's admission that he was going to the track whether we were going to the track or not.
Oh yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Nice pin.
Thank you.
Good job. Way to represent.
you know, with this, I could be working somewhere.
You're quite put together and fashionable.
Thank you.
I did not know what to anticipate.
Yeah, I see now under light it is more casual. In the dark it looks like a...
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like...
You
I
look
don't-
nice.
Thank you, and I don't wear this shirt to the office.
No?
No.
Too
It's not office.
pretty?
It's not office enough.
I guess I'm skewed. Working out here, like, everything's opposite.
I know you want to do it.
Yeah, and we're back.
We're
back. You know me. God, you guys
we're
know
back.
me. Oh, that's ridiculous.
Well, you nailed that on our first one, our first show.
And then I nailed it again the second time around.
Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Confidence.
Uh-oh.
All right, Ray Shaffer, the time has come. We are sitting here with Ray Shaffer from Porsche Classic. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. How are the cans working for you?
The cans?
Yeah. Sorry, the headset.
Oh, the headset.
You asked about the
Let's
headset.
call
Is
it
that all right?
Cans.
He's
Yeah,
like-
actually.
They're called cans. Out here in business talk, they're called cans.
Okay. Well, it's working well. I can.
You're comfortable?
Yeah, it doesn't work. It's probably. I don't normally wear hats, and it kind of feels like a hat.
I'm taking a picture of Dwight taking a picture of you right
All right.
now. There we go. That was good.
Hilarious.
But I get to sit in the LCW while you're over there in the aluminum group management chair.
So you do. You are a chair expert. We weren't kidding about that. We were kidding, but not about that.
But
Not
kind of
really.
not.
Well, I've been watching your shows for a while now since Tory started, and I thought, boy, that's a beautiful chair. And of course, I know why you have them here because you just fit perfectly, and you can sit for a while.
It's nice.
Yeah,
So you heard about our show and you said, oh, I would actually do that.
I would. Yeah, since you guys are just talking about some fun stuff and coming out here for the Luft weekend, and why not? With all the Porsche people, it's all about community and the passion, and it's fun to meet people that feel the same way.
Absolutely.
We talk an awful lot about that, about how Instagram brings people together, and I think everybody in this room today, save for DJ, of course, who's off camera, is pretty much that's how we met.
I love that. Just ignore me after I ask this, but is that,
And I love that.
yeah.
is that a Porsche thing, mentality, or is it a classic thing? Just the camaraderie of the social media and all that kind of stuff, or is that like a you thing?
I don't know. You know, I think there's a lot of people in Porsche that I see it with. Yeah, sure.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah, there's so much
know.
enthusiasm within the company. I hope maybe over time you get to have more folks from the company here, because I mean, you see a lot of them when you go places. You talked about Jennifer, and so I mean, there's a lot of folks out there. Owen, you know, just we get to do what we love every day, and that's
I love hearing
And get
that.
paid for it.
Yeah.
That's like happiness right there. Like,
As an
say,
adult,
doesn't
that's what you
happen.
learn. That's what
Doesn't
it's
it
about.
does not happen. No, I mean, you hit the lottery, man. You really did. But you also put the work in to get there as well. It wasn't like an overnight success thing.
No, and there's a lot of pay it forward. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people along the way that you get to do what you do, because over time you meet people who help you out,
Absolutely.
that see the enthusiasm and the interest that you have and what they're doing, and you have the opportunity to do the same at some point for other people. So, yeah, that's wonderful. I've often joked, though, at these events that we go to, instead of having "Hello, my name is," that we should have Instagram handles.
Yeah,
So
we
true.
say the same thing.
Yep.
We were even talking about maybe putting that like where you would put a driver's name like above between the A and the B pillars on our car. We were thinking about just like a porschelife thing or something like that. I mean, people know the car at this point, but
Yes,
But when you're outside of the car,
Yeah.
then it's like how many people are gonna walk around tomorrow at Luft and like, you know, be best friends on social media or
You
always
know them.
comment,
You
and
know
then
them.
like, you're not gonna be like, oh wait, that's, you know, Mark Pravanik or whatever. Like, it's so funny how that is, but
it's crazy. We're finally at a point where people are doing that, where they come up to you at car shows and stuff, and it is that type of thing where you don't know what anyone's face is, because we're the rare ones that are posting what we look like in our Instagram photos. Usually it's beautiful, imagery.
right.
So you have no idea what anybody looks like.
Right.
So I think that this is a great idea, Ray Shaffer. Let's do it.
You're on to something.
Yep.
Maybe,
too.
maybe
Let's get them
Dwight,
printed by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Dwight could design them for us.
Yeah.
He's got nothing but
exactly.
time.
Oh.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know all that much about you, and I specifically didn't do a tremendous amount of research for the sake of having an authentic conversation and getting to know you. You see how we do it.
I do, and I like it.
Yeah.
You did send me a bunch of photos, which we can pull up at any time you want to. If you want me to go through them, we can do that, and you can talk about them, or you can tell me stories. I can bring them up. It's up to you. But know that we have those available whenever.
You know, I play with so many photos on Instagram. I forget which ones almost.
Right.
And you're welcome to any one of them.
Then let's just pull some up randomly, because I think this one might be recent, and at least a couple of these people are sitting at this table. So I'll just pop that up there.
Ah, yes. That was a wonderful weekend. That was a panel discussion that we did at the Porsche Experience Center Atlanta. One of the jobs that I get to do there is look after the Heritage Gallery. And so,
it's breathtaking.
You know, the PECs are like clubhouses.
Well, let's talk about this picture. Who's in this picture, first of all?
That would be Jim Goodlett.
Okay. In the Martini racing hat?
Yeah, hashtag Slideways.
Oh, you're kidding.
JC Goodlett.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've seen. He has the most famous car on the internet.
I don't until yesterday. That's crazy that this is how this is all happening. Literally yesterday, this car was at the Peterson last night, correct?
No.
So, not that car,
Jim's
but
car.
his the Slideways car.
Well, there's a lot of folks now. There's a 996 that I saw there last night
With the Safari.
Yeah.
Okay, that was perhaps it then.
That's probably
there's a lot.
It's like this whole movement now. It's like a subculture.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
totally.
That's what I'm getting at. There's a whole big to do about that car from last night.
Groundbreaking.
And people who like it, people who don't like it, and then the internet.
It really shook things up in the Porsche world.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? What
I don't have a picture of it, unfortunately.
car and Safari? Is it the same story? What's
Kind
happening?
of like, Lee Keen, I think, had a big hand in that as well, who you also know.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the Porsche history is not only is it deep with sports cars and sports car racing, but also off-road. In fact, Ferry Porsche was the one who said the 911 was one of the rare cars that you could drive to the office on Monday. You could race it and win at Le Mans with it, and you can drive it to dinner on Friday night, and you can take it to the Monte Carlo Rally and win with that too. So
this is really my favorite thing about your kind of cars.
it hits all these
so
wonderful.
neat.
Yeah, it hits all these wonderful. There you go. That's the 996.
It's not the best way to do it, but that's the sucker we're talking about.
Oh, the green one.
Yeah, I've never seen this car in person, but Rodrigo Torres, whose wife is the president of the PCA Los Angeles, he posted it last night, and then just watching people jump on was entertaining.
That's awesome. Oh yeah. Shaking
People
things
enthusiastic from both sides.
Right.
Love it, hate it.
Both camps.
Love it, hate it.
Yep.
So there is this growing subculture we've talked about Safari 911s. The people that there's the R group, obviously, that's focused on the sport purpose 911s. And now there's this off-road group, these folks who are focusing on the South African rallies and the Paris-Dakar and what have you. So a lot of tribute cars that are being built out of that.
So they're building these cars specifically for rallies there.
They do rally cross, or they just take them like Jim does, and we'll go off, and he lives in Savannah, and he'll go off and drive that thing on Hutchison Island, just on his way to work. He's got some great stories about that, too. I'll let him tell them when he comes on your show.
Please.
Yeah.
All right,
sure.
well, I derailed that because I didn't know that was going to be the answer. But all right, so we've got
Instagram.
Slideways.
Instagram again.
And then we've got you, Ray. We've got you, V-Dubber. Looks like you had a couple
20
pounds
pounds
on you
heavier.
there. Yeah, a couple pounds in those cheeks there.
But I like that red Carpe Diem shirt.
Yeah.
Dwight.
That's right. Nice Carpe gear. But then the fella there at the end is a commercial director that some people may know through the Porsche community, I guess.
May have heard of him.
Perhaps Mr. Jeff Zwart, who we're all massive fans of, and I've still never even talked to the man. I see him all the time. I never walk over at the right opportunity. He's always talking to somebody else, or
That should change tomorrow.
I hope so, because I'm a massive fan, not just of his Porsche stuff and his accomplishments there, but just from, I used to work in commercials as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
And his eye is really something.
Amazing.
Yeah, a lot of talent. So anyway, so that's those guys there. All right, so back to you, Ray. Sorry about that.
So that picture was taken at Atlanta Motorsports Park, which has a wonderful karting track. And when we got together, I came here to Southern California last November to talk with Jeff about putting together an exhibit of a few of his cars, the Pikes Peak cars, for the Heritage Gallery at PEC Atlanta. And so we were talking about that, and we sort of, when he brought the cars out to us, we do this thing called Moving Day. Whenever we have to move the museum cars around, we try to do it every 6 months. It's really a lot of work, a lot of pushing cars around and setting up these exhibits and what have you, and DJ will attest to that. He does a lot of the pushing with me, for me. Yeah,
Is that true?
With the team. Yeah. So we designed this day. Said, well, if you're going to unload the transporters, you're going to pull these cars out, and we have this little track out the back of the building. We might as well hear what the cars sound like and see what they look like.
Love that. What a good excuse to take those cars on.
Yeah, so we have this little core group of people, the ones that contribute their cars, and we said, well, we'll just do these in little groups and go out and sort of parade around the track so you can run your car before we put it away for 6 months. And so Jeff came out when we dropped off those 3 cars back in January, and we had one of those rare 70-degree beautiful days in January in Atlanta. And we spent the day out there along with the other guests driving these cars around. And we started talking at lunch about go-karting. I don't remember how it came up. So we started going, Jim and I going on about how great this track is. 4 stories of elevation change. It was designed by the same designer that did the road course in Atlanta there, Motorsports Park, and also COTA, I believe, along with some other F1 tracks. So this designer really knows what he's doing. So you've got these 4-story of elevation change, including one called ski jump, which you come up the hill and then just 4 stories straight down basically and turns and go back up the other side.
That you're meant to do in a vehicle?
Go-kart. And it's a rental kart, actually. They race other karts there, too. But
puts me in the mind of a go-kart Laguna Seca, almost, with the corkscrew.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kind of elevation drop.
I'm picturing like K1, but outside, and it's nothing like that. Oh, it's insanity. Wow.
They're 55, 60-mile-an-hour 4-cycle go-karts.
Yeah,
and they're totally enclosed, and you wear these little seat belts, and they've got rental helmets and everything.
Shifter karts or centrifugal?
They're not shifter, but
just a 4-cycle. When I raced karts back in the day, they were two-stroke and shifter karts and what have you, but I never raced a 4-stroke until now. And so it's just so much fun. You go out there, arrive and drive kind of thing. So we really started talking to Jeff about this, and he was, that sounds really cool. That sounds really cool. And so when we come back, maybe you go. We'll come back. Yeah, okay. So when he came back to do that event, which was in the end of February, I believe it was, around a weekend, we were going to do like a bring the cars in, everybody have some conversation, then we'll get together down in the Heritage Gallery, about 200 of our friends, and just have a conversation about this safari culture. And so that was going to be Saturday morning. And so Friday morning, when Jeff showed up and stayed in the hotel across the street from OPD, One Porsche Drive.
Getting the codes here. That's their 30 Rock. Got it.
That's it.
Got it.
So and then you've got the Solus right next door, which is their new Porsche-themed hotel. It's not even been open that long. When did it open? Last November?
Yeah. 2 Porsche Drive.
No kidding.
Beautiful.
I was going to say, I bet it's beautiful.
It's insane.
Yeah, come stay.
Yep.
So
thanks, Fry.
You're welcome. So we went over to have breakfast on Friday morning to welcome Jeff, and Doug from Haggerty was there, and so we were all talking at breakfast, and we get through with all the here's what we're going to do kind of thing, and Jeff finally says, well, now tell me what the next 48 hours look like. And I described that night with the dinner.
This is the itinerary? This is what you're there for 2 days? Okay.
Friday night we're going to have this dinner. Saturday morning and get up and do this, do that, and here by lunchtime we should be done. And he said, okay. I said, what about the kart track? And I said, you really want to go do that? Because I would so do that. And he said, well, to be frank with you, he said, that's the reason why I rented.
That's why I came here.
That's why I rented a car, because we're right by the airport. He said, because
you are the airport. Are you kidding me?
Pretty much.
You share a fence.
Repeating.
Runway 2. Yeah. Right off runway 2. So he told me, he said, yeah, he had rented a car because had we not brought it up or talked about it, he was so interested in it from the idea back in January that when we were done, he was going to get in his rental car and go up there with or without us.
Whoa.
How funny is that?
Yeah. That's great.
So, I mean, the guy,
he was committed.
You talk about authentic. I mean, there's a guy there that just loves to drive, just loves to race. And his first time there, I mean, just super competitive and just so much fun.
How cool.
Yeah, it's like something changed. It's like boom, like and he's like they have a course, like a track map or whatever. He's like, okay, I'm probably late apex here, then you're gonna want to hit this line down. I was like, whoa, like what am I like what are we going up against here? Like that's how he rolls. It was awesome to
when you're
see,
at that
though.
level, right?
And this guy, oh my gosh, like I mean you've been doing karting a while.
Yeah, and in fact
and it shows.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, amazing.
Well, I remember when I first moved to Jacksonville, and it was we had 103rd Street out there, which was a pretty well-known kart track in Jacksonville. It's a public park, which is still hard to believe in this day and age.
And not to interrupt, but why were you in Jacksonville? Where were you working?
What
was that dealership called?
Don't tell me.
Where were you?
Don't tell me.
What were you? The GM of Brumos?
Come
that
on.
What it was called? Yeah, dude.
Porsche dealership there.
Yeah, that's what he used to do.
As in Hurley Haywood, Brumos Racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after a couple, first year I worked there, I had a shifter cart because when I wasn't working, I would be at that track because it was a fun track to drive, and the shifter carts are awesome to drive. And we invited Hurley out to try the shifter cart. You want to come out and do it? So he comes out one day to do that. And he brings his helmet and suit and all that, and we're getting ready to go out and warm up the cart, bring it. Now it's his turn to get in, and he gets into it, and I start explaining now this, that, the other, and the whole thing. And you can tell he's really kind of not listening to me.
In one ear, out the other. I've already got the racing line in my head. Stop.
Yeah, it dawns on me. I'm talking to Hurley Haywood.
Oops.
It's pretty amazing.
He knows what to do.
We met him at there was a Porsche design gala or a launch or something like that. We met him there, the tall, skinnier fella.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Just saying for you've actually met him as well.
Thanks. I'm sure he's
Porsche wife. Porsche wife.
This is what Porsche wives look like. And I'll shout out to Daria, who hashtagged it herself when she was at something else, taking a picture of her guy that she loves, who loves Porsches.
That's awesome. They come to Breakfast Club a lot.
She used to be my landlord.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
It's also true. I don't want to go down that tunnel right
We
now,
don't
but
have
it's totally
to,
true.
Just FYI.
Right.
Anything else?
Nope, Porsche just brings people together. Thanks.
That's totally true, though.
It
It's
does.
totally true.
and
Yeah.
we're back on top.
Seriously.
Yeah, just like
Slam
that.
They used to be
dunk.
professional, too.
You're
guys.
totally making up for that first commercial break we did. Keep digging your way out, girl. You'll get there.
I have no plan, no hopes of getting out.
It's all good.
I just live in the flow.
All right, Ray.
So-
Seriously.
Jeff Swart, awesome dude.
Awesome.
I'd rather talk about you. What have you done while you're in town? Let's get that out of the way real quick, because this is Luft weekend, and you guys have already done a handful of stuff.
Yeah, last night was the kickoff party at the Peterson. That was wonderful to see the exhibit out there, the work that went into that, and I posted about that this morning, as a matter of fact.
Was that your first time?
For the Porsche effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of the work and the people that worked on that to get that together, and that is just amazing. So again, to the community topic, just to show you what you can do and everybody works together.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect example of that. So from an inspirational standpoint, artistic, everything, the exhibit is just wonderful. Educational, it's,
What's is there a name for it?
the Porsche effect.
It's just that's
Yeah.
the name? Okay.
Yep. Which was actually why I came down the first time I did you guys a show.
right, it was
I was there for the opening of
The
that.
actual opening night.
Yep. And he hadn't
right.
seen it, and I was like, oh, I cannot wait for you to see this, because, going to his heritage center, that's his baby. Like, he helps set all of that up. So
Can you tell us about that too? Because I don't know exactly what that is, other than it's not open to the public. It's not a museum, right?
Well, the PEC Atlanta is where the Heritage Gallery is, in Atlanta, the headquarters. And it's open to people that have an appointment.
Is that
at
at OPD?
Yes.
Okay.
AKA PEC Atlanta. or hashtag PEC ATL.
Over the fence.
ATL,
Over the
shawty.
fence.
Right. So this is when you have an appointment in the building, whether to drive a car on the track, have lunch in restaurant 356, or you're there for business purposes.
Your restaurant is 356. That's so nice.
Yeah, funny.
Yeah,
Not
I like that.
Well, see, that makes sense, and it's a good segue because our classic center is at PEC ATL, so restaurant 356, and here in PEC LA is where Motorsports has their headquarters, restaurant 917. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Cool.
It does.
Porsche just thinks of
Really
everything,
thought
don't
out.
they?
They do.
So what exactly is it? Is it just a display that's constantly on rotation, or
Yeah, pretty much. It's a lot like what has happened there at the Peterson. There are a few Porsche museum cars that we work in that we bring over from Stuttgart, but it takes the people that you know with the willingness to loan you their car for anywhere from 3 to 6 months or a year in some cases. And some of those folks we get to work with, like Bob and Rory and Cam Ingram from the Ingram collection.
Oh, wow.
There's never not been a time that building has been open. Now since 2015, there hasn't been one of their cars in the building.
Wow.
You've seen their cars. You know how beautiful.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes.
Yeah.
You can't be into Porsches and not know who the Ingrams are.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
I was going to say, just if you've been on YouTube and you're into Porsches, I mean, there are so many videos from, I just think of Chad McQueen driving their cars and stuff like that. And the people that are in they consider in the family, so to speak, that they're, from what I've heard from everybody, incredibly generous about folks driving their cars because they know
sharing
that they're to
them.
be driven.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they in Virginia? There was something I saw that they were all on VIR.
Raleigh-Durham.
Okay.
North Carolina.
Gotcha.
Which is close. They're close to VIR. So you can take the cars out and exercise them.
That's so nice.
But they're all about the educating of the public and the sharing that passion. We're talking about their book that Cam wrote with Randy Leffingwell and Michael Furman, photographer. Porsche Unexpected is a great book about their collection, but also about how it came together. So if you haven't seen it,
wow, that's so cool. Too. All right, I'm going to go to another picture here, Ray. Let's see. I guess we'll surprise you. How about this?
Okay, that's from the panel. That's from the panel discussion that we did with Jeff and Jim.
So is this actually at? Where is this?
Yeah, this is in the lower level of the Heritage Gallery. That's our motorsport corner. You see the Foster Quaker State Indy car from the Porsche Museum behind us. Mm-hmm. So that's an example of what folks get to see when they come in on a normal day. Normally, we're not sitting there talking like that.
Is the gallery set up? Everything, is that all? Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, the images on the wall are from the Porsche archive of photos of Porsche Motorsport in America.
Is this part of? Is this all changing constantly as well?
The cars do. The pictures on the wall for now are sort of there all the time.
That's where they live. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask a silly sidebar question?
No, there are no.
There is
questions.
no silly.
Well,
exactly.
Well, on this side of town.
Just wait.
Is that your office? That photo, like all the stuff that we're talking about, this heritage, whatever. That's like the ground floor of where the head offices are, or is it a separate location?
You're right. It's the corporate headquarters for Porsche Cars North America.
Okay.
So a lot of folks look at the building here in LA, and it's not as large, but that's because it doesn't house a corporate headquarters.
Right.
It has the other side of it, which is where Porsche Motorsport is, their North American headquarters. And so their track is larger here in LA, but the building is larger in Atlanta because that is the corporate headquarters. So that's...
There's actually really a building. I mean, there's really an actual building next to... Because you have a PEC that's its own thing that's more similar to what we have, but then the actual Porsche building.
Right, so folks come in because of the corporate headquarter aspect and because of the proximity to the airport, we do have a front gate. And so a lot of people, you can't just roll up and walk in kind of like you do here during business hours in L.A. Because of those
security, I would imagine,
right,
with the airport.
Right. So you have to have an appointment, which is why the idea of having a swap meet there on a Sunday or something and just come one, come all is not possible because we have to register everything through the gate. So there's that aspect of it. But yes, it's a larger building. You might recognize it for you movie fans as Avengers headquarters.
Oh, is that right?
Alfred on Tuesday is excited about Avengers, so...
Yeah.
I'll just clear my throat. Thanks for that.
Well, the building is designed. It was done by HOK in Atlanta to be very, very much like a Porsche. It's a very sleek building, and it doesn't have a lot of air conditioning vents and units on the roof and things. When you fly over it, it's supposed to be formed kind of like a Porsche.
That's neat.
It's really cool. Yeah. And so right before it opened, the management had received a phone call from Marvel Studios about wanting to come scout the location. They saw the building.
No way.
So it kind of went from there, and it became the location for Avengers Civil War and for Spider-Man Homecoming.
No shit.
So if you go back and watch the movies, having been there, you probably recognize a lot of it.
I just love that Porsche is subsidizing their income with filming locations.
Right?
I mean, I don't really know what to make of it. I think it's fantastic.
Atlanta's a hotbed
Hollywood
for filming right now.
Absolutely,
yeah,
sure. No, I get it. It's
But
more
it
on the
is
lines
funny.
of Porsche. Yeah, it's Porsche.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Gosh.
Yeah, they've got everything there, though. I mean, like your finance, like Porsche Finance is headquartered there. I mean, everything.
Well, the idea was to take all these subsidiaries that Porsche had throughout the United States and bring them under one roof. That's where the one Porsche drive came from. So that the collaboration, the working, as you walk around the whole building, it's just phenomenal. You'll see places to sit and have a pickup meeting, different innovation areas. It's
different chairs in different places to sit.
You wouldn't
Did they
believe
consult you on the chair
chairs.
They didn't, but I certainly approved.
But you approved, I imagine. I imagine the wise choices made all around.
Well, we have womb chairs.
That's your favorite. We don't have one of those, but you love that.
Yeah.
It's like a... Yeah.
The bamboo ones?
Nope.
Nope, different.
We
I'll
have the
Bambabooey.
planter tables.
Oh,
My
that's nice
Rochester
too.
showed.
I love it all. All right, let me show you. What is this one here?
That's
a great shot.
I love that. I love that picture because of the car and
I almost cropped it to make it better, and then I said, "No, we need the car."
Yeah, that's a special. And of course, my friendship that's come with the owner of that car since then has been very special as well. But its original driver, racer, owner is sort of how I managed to get to, I think, started on the path to where I am today with the kindness and the generosity of the late Bob Aiken.
Okay.
So back in the 80s, when I was a teenager and trying to get closer to the action, I lived in Pittsburgh, your town.
PA.
Yeah. And we didn't have much.
I want to get to how you guys know each other before the day is up too. So don't let me forget that.
It's super easy. Instagram.
Okie doke.
Totally.
There you go.
Isn't that funny?
Totally.
Like
That's
all of
amazing.
this, yeah. But we had a lot more in common than we originally thought too. Like we had the
Like
whole
us with
Pittsburgh,
furniture.
car-
I was going to say how it all goes.
You had me at chairs. Except I'm not into chairs.
You're just a conduit.
Yeah, I am.
So here I am,
So Pittsburgh.
16-year-old looking to get closer to the action. And the only racing event, there was no pit race, and Nelson Ledges was kind of our home track. And if you're familiar with that, and
I don't know that.
it's not really.
You wouldn't. It's like nothing now. Like they're trying to bring it back, but back in the day, it was like a super popular track. It's like 40 minutes from my house, but
Okay.
didn't have the best amenities and all that, and or track conditions. I think it made the original Sebring look like
right,
Coda today, probably.
right.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, dude.
It was rough, but
Sebring's rough.
Yeah, this
Old
is
Sebring was
this
really
is,
rough.
This is Mo rougher.
Wow. Okie doke.
But Pittsburgh had a vintage Grand Prix that started in the early 80s, and so by 86, a 3-year-old event or whatever, I pulled out my road and track magazines, which I've had just about a full collection I inherited from my uncle. And I went to the back of where the car clubs were listed, because that was kind of your internet of the day. And I was Googling all the car clubs. I went to the back of the classified section, and I wrote all the car clubs, and I said, I live in Pittsburgh, and if you want a story for your newsletter and pictures, then just help me get pit passes to the Vintage Grand Prix, and I'll get them for you. And, of course, I didn't know anything about taking pictures. I didn't know anything about writing. But I just wanted to get in there and get closer to the cars. So 86 happened to be the year that Bob Aiken won the 12 Hours of Sebring with the Coca-Cola car, and I had remembered that.
So cool.
He was writing for Road and Track, and when I heard his name announced over the loudspeaker when I arrived there, I thought, I got to go find that guy and talk to him. And the whole weekend sort of wound up getting built around their son, Bobby Aiken, and his racing a Formula Junior. That's how he was learning to race, was with that in a vintage race car, Lotus 18 Formula Junior.
Wow.
And so the story was written around that. And he was just so kind to me. He said, "You've never been to an IMSA GTP race before? You should come up to Watkins Glen and check it out." So
cool.
Made sure we had pit passes for that, and so that's how that
Watkins
friendship.
Glen's a great track too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's how that friendship started with him, and I've stayed in touch with him for a long time. And
So that's whose car?
that's
It
the
is.
Coca-Cola 962. That's chassis number 102, which was Bob's first 962. He had 3 of them.
And it's a prototype, so that's center cockpit, right? That one?
Yeah, it's kind of off to the right. It's a sports
Oh, it
car,
is?
so
Okay.
it has to have a passenger seat, which is kind of squeezed in the electronics.
Oh, I see. It's because of the... I
Yeah.
gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, and so this was at the Amelia Island Concours a couple years ago, and the owner.
Where's that ish?
That's in Amelia
Florida.
Island, Florida.
Florida. Okay.
Yeah.
Just north of Jacksonville.
Thanks.
It's a cool place.
Whenever Garth and Wendy aren't around because he's got to go do Amelia Island, it's the auction thing. He works for Gooding.
It's kind of like
shout out to Garth Hammers, everybody.
Hi, Garth. Hi,
love
Wendy.
you, Garth Hammers.
it's
and
kind of like
Wendy.
the East Coast, like Laguna Seca, like Monterey weekend, I would say,
Yeah, I
right?
would say Monterey.
Like Pebble Beach week.
You're right,
Yeah.
exactly.
It has a different vibe, though. I mean, having been to Pebble Beach now and experienced that, and then pretty much growing up with the Amelia Concours, because I moved to Jacksonville in '99, and the show started in '96, so I've been to every one. To kind of watch that grow, Bill Warner and his team do a wonderful job of really crafting the weekend around the idea of different themes, and instead of just sort of a concours for the best of a certain era of car, it might be themes like cowboy cars or IMSA GTP.
How fun.
So,
Or
yeah.
Outlaws.
Or Outlaws. So
Yeah.
there's this.
What's
It's
the
Fun.
really
Did
fun
fun.
of you guys to kind of bring some enjoyment to it.
And that's what
really
that's
neat.
what they do, and so I think that was unique, and I see a lot of that now starting to pop up in other shows. But I really think it was Bill and his team that started that. Yeah,
Such a neat integration.
Totally.
Just creatively speaking.
It's
really
just a lot
cool.
less stuffy.
Integration
Yeah.
and ingratiation is what I was going
Yeah.
to say,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden it's not just the same 6 or 8 cars or
Duesenbergs.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
exactly.
course. The ones that
Not
are going
that
to
I'm
win it every
knocking
time.
Duesenbergs, but
No,
you
but
know,
they're
I
going to
mean,
win it every time if
Yeah.
we're going on the same
Yep.
check boxes.
Exactly.
right. So there are 2 awards, 2 best of shows. There's the Concours d'Elegance, and then there's the Sport Auto. That's usually it's a race car.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome
That's
stuff.
so cool. The Elegance is the one where everyone keeps everything clean, right?
Well, it's right. It's sort of
I love the way you put
Well
that.
said.
It's the
so
best.
simple.
I need to keep things simple in my head, man.
I love it.
So yes, it's more the sort of the brass era, the coach built cars and what have you, and then the competition cars could be anything from a 917 to a Bugatti Grand Prix car, Alfa Romeo. Yeah.
I'm simply trying to think about, you weren't here for lit, but I'm trying to think about how
much
Brumos license plate frames go for at a lit show or something like that. It's unheard of. And you've got a connection with them as well.
Yeah, I spent 17 years there. As I mentioned, there's a story behind that. I was a car salesman all my life. Still am, probably. I love them so much. And so I was working at a Cadillac dealership, and Bob, who lived in New York, and I was in South Carolina at the time, was kind enough to try and buy one of his cars through me. He was doing me a favor. And the sales manager was giving me a really hard time with trying to put this deal together, just stupid kind of things. And so I went home that night and I called Bob and I said, I really know I appreciate you're doing this for me, but just buy the car up there where you are and don't bother with this situation. And he said, I don't know why you're such a Porsche guy. Why are you selling Cadillacs? You should be working at a Porsche store. He goes, I know a guy in Jacksonville. He said, why don't you come down to Daytona and at the HSR race, and I'll introduce you to him. And that's how I met Bob Snodgrass. So we
crazy.
Yeah, he walked us over to the bus where Bob was, and he knocked on the door, and the door opens up. And if you know Bob Snodgrass, he's unfortunately also passed away in 2007. He's a larger than life figure. He's really starting in the 70s with Peter, Gregg, and Hurley, put Brumos on the map, and a lot of his marketing is what made that so great. And so he opened up the door and he's like, come on up. So we walk up under the bus, and as I'm walking down to go meet their sales manager to talk to him about possibly selling cars there, I walk past the kitchen, and Hurley's sitting there talking to Rob Dyson and Paul Newman. And I thought, I don't care what they pay, but I'm pretty sure this is my next job.
It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah. What year was this, you said? About
1998.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a great memory.
The 50th anniversary, 20 years ago. Yeah, it was the 50th anniversary of the company, and here we are at the 70th this year.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
Just the happenstance in those two instances, and look where you are now.
Totally. I mean, it's the people that you get to meet. I mean, it's a total blessing for sure. The friendships that come out of it, and the creativity that comes around it as well. I mean, you, Dwight, the work that you and Nicole are doing. So I mean, it's there's so many examples of that, and that is so inspiring. That's what gets you up, and it leads to the work that we do now. Kind of get into the classic factory restoration now. The end of it that we're involved in, not just the Heritage Gallery, but the work that we do with the factory restoration program.
I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, well, we see the craftsmen that do this work to bring these cars back to the point where they're reliable, driving cars the way that they were engineered and designed to be. Nothing against patinaed cars that are well maintained, but certain cars hit a point where they're not functioning the way the engineers intended, and it's in that case it's kind of a disservice, I think.
And as we understand it, this guy here does all the work.
Yeah. He looks so familiar.
There was a note that came along with this picture saying, and if you noticed how I'm dressed, obviously I don't work on the cars myself.
I had posted another picture. This is as we were taking the 356 apart for the job that's going to take place between the Atlanta facility and the Stuttgart facility.
Oh, cool.
The Intercontinental Restoration. Where I'm standing there looking at the engine and my hands are in my pocket, and another one of our managers from the company for Porsche Classic is standing there with his hands in the pocket. Of course, I posted that picture, and would you think the comment was from everybody about that?
Get your hands out of your pockets.
Yep.
Get to work.
You can tell who's working on the car. Yep. But that's not what I do. I'm not the hands-on when it comes to the talent for that. That's why I respect so much the work that Jack and Kellen in our shop do, and DJ and Zach. There's a specialty that it takes, whether you're finding the authentic pieces that you need, the parts. Obviously, we make over 52,000 of them, and there's 200 to 300 more every year that get added to this catalog.
Speaking of the parts and the catalog, you brought gifts as well.
I did.
I don't think I should probably individually unwrap these.
Looks
but
like there's enough for me, Dwight.
They're definitely, it's a series of books. This feels like a series of books.
Well, there's plenty of chairs in here that you could sit and read that, I'm sure, as a couple. You know?
Would the picture you provided be what is in here?
Yes.
Okay, so I can show that.
Yeah, that's Originale, which is the new, you're welcome. This is the new product news and stories. Yeah.
Green, brown, yellow. There you go.
And actually,
cool.
if you're at LUFTGEKUHLT on Sunday, did I say it right?
LUFTGEKUHLT, I believe, is how it's said.
Yeah,
that's how I trained myself to say.
Right, so LUFTGEKUHLT 5 on Sunday. We actually have an exhibit there of these catalogs, and we'll have them, a limited supply of them, available.
Oh, for purchase?
No, they're not for sale. They're for you to have.
Oh.
Yeah, so the idea is that the Porsche Classic partners that we have, there's 8 of them right now, is growing. I think by the end of the year it may be closer to 10, but all over the world that is growing. The idea that the dealers that have the specialty and the passion, enthusiasm for classic models, and of course our authorized dealers that also do as well, that might not be called classic partners, but they are available. So you can go to your locally authorized Porsche dealer or classic partner.
That's so cool.
And request a copy, and they should hand it to you if they have them in stock.
Because those will last 45 seconds at LUFTGEKUHLT.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, those are gonna.
That's all I could think. They're gone.
Exactly.
But they did a great job with this, because this is a communication piece that, you know, in the back there are part numbers and pictures of the parts, which, you know, there's.
That's priceless reference material.
Some of the stuff is really cool, but, you know, some of the washers and nuts and bolts and things, it gets. So how do you make that interesting? And this catalog is a perfect example of that. The stories behind the parts, why they're made that certain way, why this is important that it fit properly, that type of thing. The events, everything behind it. It's sort of the Porsche Classic world communication, and it's
really fascinating.
It is. You really do need to open them and read it.
Right now?
You can.
What I noticed from this is that you definitely have a way about you. So what I'm noticing, there are some parallels between what you see in this book and the furniture that we're talking about. And you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's not just what the product is, it's how it was made, it's why it was made, it's who it was made by. All of that stuff is important.
You know what I love about Ray?
It's all part of it.
Ray is like a Bob Snodgrass to so many other people, and I don't think you realize that. Like what you do for other people, like you're totally paying it forward.
Well, thank you.
You're taking what opportunities you had given to you, and you're extending them to new people. Like, I mean, we didn't know each other from Adam, you know, prior to Instagram, and he's been so gracious. Like, he knows I'm only just a flight away from Atlanta, so anytime anything cool comes up, he's like, dude, come on down. Like, we'll go hang out. We'll do this. Like, you know, I love that about just everyone in this, you know, especially Ray, but like everyone in this hobby is so just passionate about everything and wants to share everything and spreading positivity. It really is. And Ray says it all the time. He's like, you know, we're all bonded by this same mark or whatever of car, but at the end of the day, like, it's the people that's the reason we keep coming back for more. Yeah. And it's true. It really is. You can feel that in this room. It's crazy.
That's what this weekend's all about. You go to these shows.
It is.
It's getting to the point now where you go to the shows, and good thing we have Instagram and pictures, because that's now how we see the cars. You're standing there the whole time talking to people.
Exactly.
Right?
100%.
So true.
100%. And then I'll get home later and be like, I thought I took a picture of that, blah, 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 blah. We talked to that guy for 15 minutes, but I didn't take a picture.
I didn't even see that car.
Totally forgot. Yeah, that's the other thing, too.
Yep.
Sometimes there's one right next to the one you were taking a picture of, but you were so concerned with the light or whatever it was to get your image that you didn't even notice, and you missed out.
Talk about missing the forest for the trees sometimes.
We're all trying to be Jeff Zwart. See, that's the beauty.
Exactly. And we're all failing miserably.
That's where it comes down to, what are you capturing, right? Because we try to, more than capture whatever it is that we're llooking at, we try to capture what the experience was looking at it. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's why I think some of our pictures are a little bit different maybe than, and I'm not saying better by any means, it's, if anything, the opposite. It's like it doesn't focus so much on the artifact so much as...
Just have different goal, that's all.
It's the perspective.
It is.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Someone said to us yesterday, I think at Breakfast Club, they were...
Huge turnout, by the way. Thanks to everybody who came out to Breakfast Club yesterday. Thanks. Huge.
But talking about how he could feel that this is a moment in history in the making, and it feels, it does feel like that. And I wanted, again, delete me after, but I just wanted to say thanks to the Porsche guys, because you guys, in a really roundabout way, there's so much more of a story, but you gave me my life back.
Aw.
Very, very seriously and legitimately.
Aw.
Oh,
so, I'll stop. Like I said, delete. But I just want to say thanks, you guys, because it means so much. And the creativity that you guys bring to the table really helps people see their own creativity. And the fact that you guys kind of ingratiate so many different kinds of Porsches and you guys and whatever versus like, this is the newest, fastest, which is amazing technology, but you guys bring the personalities behind it, and it really helps.
Well, thank you. That's very, appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I mean, it's so true, though. The enthusiasm, the community, right? And the giving back. I mean, we all just do this because this is what we love. We have a common interest, and it does all bring us together. And so that's really what the cars are. I mean, they're transportation vehicles for that. So maybe someday in the future, right, if there's autonomous cars that, you just get in a pod and somewhere you go.
These aren't them.
No, they're not. And it just shows you, again, how prophetic Ferry Porsche was when he said that the last car ever built will be a sports car. And it'll be a Porsche sports car, most likely. And so, and of course, we'll keep the ones running that are out there already, because you know what the interest level is for that and the love of that.
Well, that's more of almost what you're doing with Classic.
Yeah, and I think about these cars and sort of how we're doing the car. In the case of you take a 356, for example, that we can redo this car in such a way, inserting it into the new car assembly line and giving it the dip bath, the primer coating, the paint. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the Pebble Beach exact.
But what if you want a car to drive for the rest of your life and your kid's life and maybe their kid's life?
Isn't that true for Car for Life?
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of, so here's you think about it. This 356, which it took 50 years to get to the point where we need to do this now and redo the car. But now that'll never be an everyday car. It'll never sit outside in a bar. I mean, with the way we do these cars, they should last forever.
Yeah.
And you think about how future generations, maybe when you can't drive, will get a chance to experience that and say this is the way that it was supposed to be. And still the best of that era, genre, the sports car, if you will. So
I love it.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, I love all of it.
The fact that a manufacturer cares about that. I mean, they already got their money for that 356 years ago, but the fact that they still embody that car and still find it significant.
How about it's work they still stand behind?
Exactly.
Like as an artist, as a creator.
Yep.
Like still standing behind your work. 70-year warranty? Unheard of.
Yeah.
And I don't mean a warranty, but like someone who stands behind their work.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
I love that you can see someone in a parking lot who's got an old classic Porsche and know that you can have a conversation with them and that you're someone they can ask if they do have questions, because there are people, there's a conscientiousness to the company that says you might need an answer and I can get it for you, or I have it. And that's really fucking cool.
A lot of people don't realize it, but if you go on Porsche.com/classic and you look at the website, there's actually a dialogue box in there, so that if you're working on your Porsche in your garage and you're looking for a part, you don't see it in the catalog. The online catalog, by the way, is in there. Obviously, you still go through, you take that part number to your authorized dealer, and then they can order it for you. But if what you need isn't in there, you can actually say to Porsche, and we need you to say this, is, hey, this isn't there, and I need one.
So you know what to make next.
Right, because if everybody does that, whether it's you in your garage or an independent or a Porsche dealer,
it gives you the full spectrum of what you have.
Right, every year you're going to have a budget to improve, introduce 200, 300 more new parts for this 52,000 and growing catalog, piece catalog. You need to know what to do.
Yeah.
What to do next. What do people need? And so that's how a lot of that's figured out. So yeah, Porsche Classic is a division within Porsche in Stuttgart that has a good number of people. It's surprising how large it is actually. But when you consider everything that they have to do, what it takes to go find a manufacturer that can pump out 1,000 bolts that may be a 10-year supply for us, but they can do it in 5 seconds, but you still have to tool up to do it. Then you have to be able to sell it at a price that people can afford to pay for it.
Yeah. Which
might be fine for a 959 owner, but if it's a 914 part or a 924. So
I adore the fact that this exists. I
Fantastic.
really do. Yeah, just from, somebody who, I was never this way with Porsches. I got into the game too late as a tinkerer. But with other car companies and, in other communities that we've both been part of.
Yep.
If there were some place to go to be like, I need this part.
Yeah.
Because how many times did you making things, you have to literally make something to make that part. You got to make a tool to make a tool, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, especially with the movie car world.
Yeah, so how about you get online or your phone, or you go down to the local place and be like, you do all these great things, but you don't make this one part. Well, that's all right. Well, but you need that part? Well, other people are going to need that part. Well, we're going to make that part.
Unheard of.
That's a whole thing.
Unheard of.
It's a whole thing. It's a resource that is, I think, in the car community, really kind of new.
Yep.
I know Mercedes does some classic stuff. I know there are other places, but to do new old stuff like this at this level, when our audience is like discerning,
Yep,
it's a really good
to
offering.
say the least.
Yeah, it's a really good offering.
I think a lot of that stems too, like when I went to the Porsche Center in Atlanta for the first time. Ray, of course, like cleared his schedule, showed me around. Like didn't have to do that. Of
Seems
course
to be
he
your
did.
style.
It is. It's just how he rolls. He's
Just like Owen Hayes.
Exactly. Same thing with Owen Hayes yesterday. You know,
Passionate
but
Porsche people.
Exactly. So when you walk around, it's almost like a campus, really, because you have so many people in that same space and different departments and whatever else. You walk around and everybody's smiling. Everybody is happy to be there.
Now you're talking our language.
Everybody wants to be at work. You can tell that people probably get there really early for work. You know, even though
you
they
would,
may,
right? You would.
I'd never leave in the first place.
Yeah.
I just
You guys have a cut.
camp out. Exactly. Exactly.
Porsche design. I've got a new idea for you.
From the time you go through the front gate to the time, you know, the guy drops off the sandwich at the cafe, everyone's happy to be there. All of the driving coaches come in and they have lunch with everyone else. I mean, it's this, everyone is like meshing, and it's so great. Like I just
very cool environment.
Does this sound right?
It's true.
And it's the same is to be said about the LA Center as well. I mean, it's
that people are very happy at the LA
absolutely.
Center.
You probably go to Zuffenhausen, it's the same way there. Everyone is happy to be there. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody's positive. It's so like you are re-energized when you leave that gate again. You are. It's so fantastic. And they, you know, I work for Southwest Airlines, and it's the same exact way. Like, people have done case studies on Southwest and our customer service and our culture and everything else. And I think the first time I was ever there, we both said that, like, our cultures are very similar.
Interesting.
When you get on a Southwest plane, more often than not, people are happy to be there. You're greeted with a real smile. It's not BS. Like, we love our job.
You're very transparent with what you stand for.
Absolutely.
Which Porsche is
absolutely.
as well.
We all are happy to come to work and provide, you know, customer service that's always number one in ranking, and it shows. You can't fake that.
Speaking of which, you guys both, the 70-year sports car the little little blurb that you guys just put up, fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you like that? The
I loved
sports
it.
car together or whatever?
Yeah.
Holy cow, that was a great.
Yep.
Did you see that little?
No.
It's a new campaign that they're doing, and I'm assuming for the anniversary.
Yeah, June.
Oh man, so
It's
good.
a week before Le Mans.
It just shows like family, you know, like a father and son, and a bunch of different little images, but sports car together.
So great.
So cool.
Hashtag.
Sounds.
Sorry, hashtag sports car together.
It's very Dwight Knowlton-ish too.
Well,
I really feel like
I-
it's funny.
I understood.
I'll look online for it, Dwight.
Well, specifically the shirt you're wearing.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, they've got this logo.
I thought the same
It's-
thing.
It's so great. It just I
I
don't
don't know
I
who's
feel like
inspiring who, but
but we'll take
it's very
it.
nice.
Exactly.
Well, Dwight says he's inspiring Porsche.
I just feel like everyone's kind of on the same page right now with everything in the Porsche world, and it's really good. I love the position we're in. I love where
Isn't it
everybody's
good?
at.
There's a lot of good vibes
Oh,
there.
I
it's
mean,
great.
and the bandwidth of it is incredible. It's like we were talking about this safari sort of thing that's growing now. It reminds me a lot of when the sport purpose R group type thing started coming up. And of course, the Outlaw, you had Rod on not long ago talking about that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just like there's room enough in the world for all of this, whatever direction you want to go.
It's such an
and
exciting
Porsche's-
space to be in right now.
And Porsche's still making cars, so
Exactly.
do whatever you want with
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? And if
Yep.
you F it up, go to him, and they'll make it
fix
right for
gladly.
you. You know what I mean?
Yep. Get a catalog, start ordering parts.
It's that simple. Yeah. I don't know what everyone's so precious about. I get that aspect of it too, but enjoy it.
Yeah. And that's where everything's headed, I think. You know, you've got a lot of the old school guys that are like, no, absolutely, it has to be this way. Paint has to be.
Yep.
We have to keep it really clean.
What do you mean?
Which is fine too. You know what I mean? Like that's its
cool
own
too,
thing.
but don't knock the guy that that wants to do his own thing and personalize. Like, there's enough room for everyone in this planet to do what they want to do with what they want to do.
That's the takeaway. There's enough room for everybody to do whatever the heck they want.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's all we're saying, and that's starting to happen more now.
The hobby's expanding to include more people, to be more inclusive.
It's encompassing everything, all thoughts, and that's what I love about it.
I love these smiling faces. I get a little sentimental. It's like almost time to wrap up, so I'm kind of like, oh, geez, this has been so fun and all.
We'll just do it again.
Yeah, we can always do that.
I hope so.
How about you, Ray? Is there anything that you wanted to cover from an agenda standpoint that we haven't? I mean, I know that you're here not representing Porsche, but you being here, you represent Porsche.
Yeah,
so
we are here. We're here to meet everybody.
I'd like to pay some respect to that, and if there's anything you want to cover or whatever.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, we are here to meet everybody at the show on Sunday. Of course, we'll be at the PECLA tonight with Haggerty, our partners, Haggerty.
Oh, cool!
And they're wonderful folks to work with as well. So we'll be there to meet everybody on Sunday. Cool. And again, while we aren't directly selling parts there or anything of that nature, I mean, it's just this idea, I think, of saying this is what we do, this is who we are, and we're there to support in whatever form you might be taking with the vehicle at that point. So to your point, we can kind of cover that all. So it's just to get out and see everybody do that. Obviously, we do other things back. We've got an event coming up that's going to be really special at the end of the year, sort of like to wind down the 70th anniversary. Back at headquarters is the RM Sotheby's Porsche only sale that we're going to do there, and we hope to see some really beautiful examples of cars there and people.
This is in Atlanta headquarters?
Yeah, October 27th is at Porsche headquarters. That, again, the building, if you've been there and you see this campus, it just makes sense that they normally take these auctions and put them into a hotel ballroom. And that's what I was going to say somewhere else. You're doing it on site? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a partnership.
It's really neat.
Event that we're hosting with RM Sotheby's, and they just find some of the neatest cars.
And I'm sure you rent that out to RM Sotheby's, so it makes perfect sense. I'm telling you, this location business.
If it doesn't conflict with Iron Man 6.
So that should be a lot of fun. That's about a month after Rennsport. Of course, we have a lot of events between Porsche Parade that we also attend.
Porsche Parade is the PCA one, right? Yeah, that's supposed to be big.
Single largest make club in the world.
So cool.
Really?
Yeah, over.
Isn't that crazy?
100 and some thousand.
Dwight, what I didn't ask you about was we're getting into the position where we're going to start needing merch. You got nothing but time, right? We can just come see you and add some stuff, add a whole new line, a 111 line.
Oh, good. Dwight's available.
All right. And we need a Mrs. Ryan hat, too, because hers is fraying.
Yeah.
So we might need to remake that.
You are going to be getting some surprise merch.
Uh-oh.
Because we had a brainstorm, largely Tory, as usual.
Of course, Tory.
On the way here.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Too close to the event to pull it off, but we're going to make something happen.
You will love it.
I'm so excited to forget this and relearn it. Thanks so much.
Yeah. It'll be cool. I can't wait. Yeah.
Not worried about it. You guys are awesome. All right. Well, I guess it's probably time to wrap this up.
Thank you.
Ray Shaffer, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I'm just going to make this a little wider so we can see everybody. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for finding us, for lack of a better term, worthy enough to come pay a visit. It makes us feel like what we're doing is working, and we're reaching people that we want to reach, and it's sort of like a little pat on the back for us to have you here.
Thank you.
So I just wanted you to know that.
Big, huge pat on the back for me.
That's very kind of you to say. Thank you. I
Thanks.
love what you guys are doing. Enjoy it, and I love watching it. When I can do that, put that up on the TV and watch instead of some of the other programming that's on TV now.
Keeping up with the Kardashians.
What do you mean?
I guess in a way we kind of are. It's just that this is our Kardashians, right?
We don't script our Kardashians.
No, we don't. No, but you know what I mean. It's like
I do know what you mean.
All right.
I like Kim with a lot less ass.
For everybody else, let's see. DJ, Dwight, Tory, and the whole thing is crazy here. But we will see everybody else at LUFTGEKUHLT tomorrow. We're gonna keep hanging out, but we're saying goodbye to you. Sorry, Ray, Tory, Mrs. Ryan. I love everyone here, and we love you at home. But we're gonna get the heck out of here. See you tomorrow at Luft.
Thanks.
Later.
See you there.
Well played.
Oh my gosh.